Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to episode 2 of
What are we calling
the
this?
podcast. I don't know.
Wes and Shriver talks, or
Talk about stuff, yeah.
talk about stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
What are we
up
talking
some-
about?
Well, just general things and stuff.
Just life.
Yeah.
If only there was something specific
That we've
saying.
both seen recently.
Maybe even an animated show.
Maybe like a Netflix show.
Yeah, based on a video game.
Wait a minute.
We could talk about Arcane.
Let's do it.
So,
So,
when did you just finished watching it? I'm assuming this week.
I did, yeah. I watched the last episode earlier today.
Okay. In general, what but I guess we're probably going to get deep into spoilers here, so I think we'll give general recommendations up front, just before we dive in, because maybe you want to watch it first if we tell you it's good, because I thought it was pretty good.
That's
what
true.
What did you think?
I liked it a lot. I thought it was really fun, and I know nothing about League of Legends, and you know. Probably.
I
don't
feel like
how
I
much you
know
about the lore.
I know a lot.
Okay.
I'd say.
So because you've played League of Legends a lot.
Played it a lot.
I haven't touched it.
Followed the game a lot. The majority of the last decade, but I kind of tapered off the past 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
But all of the stuff in the show, I was pretty familiar with. Now, going into this, I said you don't need to know League of Legends to enjoy this show, Wes.
Yes.
Do you think that's an accurate statement?
You
still?
did say that. At first, I feel like I found it a little like I wasn't really sure where it was going in the first few episodes. I think it took until like episode 3 or like the time skip probably, where I was like, oh, this is really cool. The animation's really good. And the only thing was like I kind of did get the feeling that like there was stuff I was supposed to know that I didn't. I'm
here to answer all your questions.
So the way it's structured is like a lot of the episodes will like go back to one of the characters' like backstories or like setup. So that got kind of confusing for me because it was like there's this character and I felt like I was supposed to know more about them, and then it's like, oh, it's the next episode where they actually like reveal the like backstory of the character. But it does get really mixed up, and like all of these characters are really very connected. And it starts with like what I guess I didn't really understand was like there was a battle on the bridge. I think I understand it now, but it took until like the end where I was like, okay, I guess I understood what that was. So it was like the Undercity was like the enforcers were fighting the Undercity.
Yeah. The enforcers are kind of the military arm of Piltover, and the Undercity, which we can call the Undercity, you can call it Zon. The first scene you see, that's like the original uprising of Zon that resulted in like a peace treaty, like Ollivander kind of got a peace treaty going, but he backstabbed Silco because Silco wanted to keep fighting.
Okay.
And he dropped him into the river, which caused his skin to rot or whatever.
Yeah, okay. So, there were like bits and pieces of that were kind of like revealed over the course of it. And then I don't think I was really able to put it all together really well because it was just kind of sprinkled in of like, I wasn't entirely sure why he drowned his brother. Why did he betray his brother? Was there a reason for that?
I'm not really sure.
I don't really think I caught that.
I don't know if it goes into that. I also want to be clear too, like, as much as I like most of the video game and like that stuff that's already out there related info, it's very minor. It's almost like Easter eggy / cameo stuff, because to give you an idea, like of all the characters in the show, only like 7 of them show up in the show and don't even have, so not all of them even have main parts. So like a lot of this stuff was new for me too, and stuff that people, it's not like I was like, oh, I know exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So that don't feel like you're missing out because like those besides like Vi, Jinx, Caitlyn, Jace, and Victor, and Heimerdinger. Those are like the ones that probably have the biggest screen time in the show. Besides them, the only other video game characters that show up, Singed, who's like the kind of mad doctor dude who helps Victor, and Silco, and there's apparently a cameo by another Yordle, but I didn't even catch it, and that's it. Like, obviously there's like underlying lore about the cities and stuff, but it's never quite gone in. Oh, and Echo. Sorry, I forgot about Echo. He has a main part too, but besides a little bits of and hints of stuff, they've never gone like quite this deep into the lore of the game. So you know, in a lot of ways, you've seen like as much as is out there for that. Besides little hints and Easter eggs that slightly flesh out these characters, I guess.
Yeah, I had heard they did do, I don't know, like comics or videos or something.
They've done like League's been going on for over a decade now, and not only have they released different things in different formats, they've also retconned the lore many times and just been like, we're starting over, or this is no longer canon, or blah blah blah. So it does feel like they're at a point though, with especially the quality of the stuff they're releasing, that they're gonna try to nail down like a lasting timeline, especially with the success of Arcane, I think, and how positive it's been reviewed and watched. Feels like maybe they'll finally, and with an upcoming MMO based in this space, I think they're going to try and nail down lore that they're going to stick to as opposed to rewriting it.
Yeah, I got the impression through this that this just was the lore of League of Legends. Like there wasn't anything else.
So I mean, there's little tidbits like the Zon versus Piltover and the Undercity stuff, but characters like Silco, I don't think Ollivander's ever been mentioned. Like all those side characters that I didn't mention are champions have never been named before, really.
Oh, really?
As far as I know.
They don't have names.
Yeah, because the lore almost always, like what they've released of it, focuses on the champions because they're marketing their game through the lore.
Okay.
And they want people to, be attached to the champion. So that's how it was before. Like the lore was so tied closely to the game, especially just League of Legends, that all the lore was centrally focused only around the champions. But now, League of Legends universe kind of is spread out into so many things. I think they're kind of, willing to write interesting characters that don't show up in their game. So, or at least that's the impression I got.
Okay, that's interesting. I don't know. It's just I guess what I was thinking with this is like I feel like I could kind of tell which ones were actually like the big probably heroes in League of Legends. Like the ones you listed, I was like, yeah, those are probably the ones. So I figured this is just their backstories, and I didn't realize like how tied together this was in just this one city. And so I figured this is just, League of Legends is just about them fighting in this city, I guess.
There's many other countries. There are over 100 champions now, and it used to be, although there was different avenues, one of the main sources of lore that fans would get of the game was when a new champion would be released for the game. There'd always be like a story write-up, and it would sometimes tie in other characters, like, they had a rivalry. Like, I think when Echo was released, when Echo was released like 6 or 7 years ago, I think, it mentioned his friendship with Vi and Jinx, but it was like that much, it's only a couple sentences, and I'm sure they delved into it in some of the other avenues maybe a little that I wasn't familiar with, but this was like their chance to really flesh things out, I feel like.
Okay. Yeah, and I guess just going back to like how accessible it is to someone, I guess, that doesn't know anything about League of Legends. The other thing is like the setup of the characters is like I kind of felt like, I should be able to tell, this character is clearly going to be this character, like Vi. I don't know anything about Vi, right? And I'm like, I should recognize that this is eventually going to evolve to this League of Legends character, if that makes sense. And I was like, well, I don't know who any of these people are, so I don't have, I guess, the anticipation, I guess, or the excitement that a fan would have to be like, oh, I can't wait to see that happen.
Yeah, that was one thing I thought about as I was watching it, for a couple different characters, which I think there's some things that'll come out in Season 2, so I'll try not to get into that, but the ones that it did show, characters like Vi, specifically Vi, Jinx, and Echo, like, there was the anticipation because I knew what their abilities were, like what they're known for, what they're capable of, kind of like their special attacks and things like that.
Yeah.
Like for instance, since you've watched it, this is one I can kind of spoil, is the very, very end, the last episode when Jinx shoots that rocket at the council.
Yeah.
That's her ultimate move, basically. I mean, it's not exactly like that, but her ultimate move is she pulls out a rocket launcher and shoots it, and in the game it can reach all the way across the map. It goes in a straight line. So things like that, how Vi finally gets her gauntlets, I was looking forward to that because that's Vi's character in the game, is she has these power gauntlets and her whole thing is just keep punching things or whatever. And like Caitlyn, it's kind of like a sniper in the game. And she calls her Cupcake a lot. Vi calls her Cupcake.
Are they dating? Are they...
I think that's new to this.
There was some hints of that, I
noticed. The lore I remember from the game, I think that Arcane is more of the thing that kind of confirmed maybe there was some sort of romantic feelings. Again, I could be wrong. I haven't watched or paid attention to the last like 4 years or so. But the Cupcake thing, Caitlyn has one of her moves is she puts a trap down and there's a cupcake in the center as bait. I mean, it's not really important related, but when she started calling her Cupcake, I was like, okay, that's kind of, it's like a little wink.
I guess they also reference that when they're all sat around the table and she the dish.
Yes, yeah.
Sorry.
So, little things like that, but do you see how, like, I get what you're saying about the anticipation, because you're right. Like, I knew those characters and I was looking for those things to happen, similar to Echo with the stopwatch. But as far as
does
knowing,
he actually have like a time-based ability, or is? Cause I couldn't figure out if that was just like symbolic.
I don't know. You're kind of already guessing it, so are you okay if I give you a little context to it, or would you rather just...
I'd assume that is a very gameplay type thing.
It wasn't... I mean, some people it may not have been super clear in the animation of what was happening, because at that point he drops the stopwatch, the animation kind of changes, and it can be kind of hard to follow what's going on. But if you pay attention, I'm pretty sure it's basically him taking multiple chances at getting to her to hit her. And getting shot a couple times. But then it always starts him back.
Yeah, well, the confusing thing about it is it flashes back to them being kids and like doing that. So I was kind of thinking, oh, this is like something they did as kids. And so he's like, oh, he knows all her moves now. And that's what it was. He's like, oh, he's so much better at dodging her bullets now than when they were kids. It's kind of the vibe I was getting, but I guess he's like rewinding time to redo it. Is that what?
I think that's what they're going for, because his kit or his moveset in the game revolves around like manipulating time. So I'm sorry if that's a spoiler. It seemed like you were guessing at it a bit, and it kind of implies it with him.
Yeah.
And if you pay close attention to the animation, it obviously it's not fair because I'm a League fan and it made immediate sense to me, but like it shows him trying multiple times and then eventually succeeding, though, because it worked because he had chances over and over again, basically, from rewinding time. But again, a League person would know that and be anticipating it, so it was super hype for me to see him fight, because
it was really cool scene.
The animation I thought was really cool. Like the switch. But I could also see where it wasn't exactly clear what was going on.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not like it wasn't set up or anything. Like, what even ability? Where would that even come from? Cause like they're very clear about the lack of magic in this world. That it's gone. There's no magic, and they're trying to like bring it back. Is kind of the
Yeah,
story.
I mean, yeah, specifically the way and I'm talking from the show, it seems like there are people who are born with magic abilities, but it's no longer around. And Heimerdinger is familiar with it because he's so old, but he's warned against trying to. But what they've basically, and then Hextech is kind of what the show revolves around, like the central sort of MacGuffin sort of thing, and what it's basically magic through technology. Like it's magic with technology, but it allows them to kind of do whatever they want without having to explain things. Like you draw some runes on stuff, and it's not really magic. It's kind of technology making use of magic, if that makes sense. But
I noticed I guess there were like a few things. It's like what exactly are these gems? Where did they come from? What's the blue?
They do explain that in the show with Jace, and this again, I don't think this. I'm not familiar with this from the lore from the game, but Jace, when he was young, that's right. There's another champion that shows up. If you remember the flashback, Jace was
the Magic Man.
Yeah, the Magic Man. He's a champion named Rise. But I guess Jace gets like a scrap of leather that has a rune on it, right? And a ball or something, or is it a wrist bracelet or? I can't remember exactly, but he gets it from Rise, who is known as like Rise has like runes and script. He's very much an arcane person because you see him use his magic in the show, but that's what Jace uses essentially to get that little ball that he can then use to develop Hextech. But it doesn't explain the technical aspects because it's not. The whole point of it is to be. We built teleporters with this. We built weapon, so.
Yeah. Okay. So, how do we want to go like episode by episode?
Yeah, we can.
Do we want to talk about the intro?
Oh God. Yeah, we can talk about it.
They used an Imagine Dragons.
Probably my. I was gonna mention that's probably like my least favorite part of the show. The animation and what's going on during the intro is pretty cool, and aesthetically it looks cool.
Yeah.
But they use Imagine Dragons song,
Imagine Dragons.
which I don't know if is it an original song for the show?
It seems like it, yeah.
Imagine Dragons has a close relationship with Riot. Like one of their they performed at the first League of Legends World Championship as the big halftime, and it wasn't halftime, but they performed.
That's so
and
cool.
They've done other collaborations with Imagine Dragons in the past. But the moment I heard the singing start, I was just like, oh God. It just doesn't fit. I don't feel like. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't like Imagine Dragons very much. Never really have. I feel like they're kind of they're like kind of almost an indie rock band. Like they kind of sound like AWOL Nation or but without fully committing to be indie rock, It's so they're very poppy.
The extract of generic and just made a band.
Yes. Yes. I was okay with the song. I'm like, fine.
The worst part is at the end when it's like the song is not my favorite, but then as the intro ends, and I'm assuming it's part of the song, it just goes like, "Watch out for yourself" or something. And I'm like, what the hell is that? What?
So cool.
Why? Who thought this was for such a good show? It sticks out like a sore thumb. I feel like, but
yeah, the intro is good though. Very well animated. And
aesthetically, it's very cool. It goes through a lot of characters.
Yeah, I still watched it every episode because I wanted to see what else I knew now.
You pick up different little things and characters and stuff. Yeah,
I know that character now.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So it released and we're gonna probably try and go through this chronologically. I guess we'll see. We didn't really have a set plan.
Yeah.
Just wanted to talk about Arcane, but
I have a bunch of notes we can just.
yeah, we can go through those too.
Don't know
But
how.
I did want to mention it was released in 3-episode increments, which I think Netflix has been doing this. They did it with another show. But it was on back-to-back weeks. I guess the Fear Street series they released.
Those are movies.
Yeah, they released movies, but what I mean is like each Friday, a new movie came out.
Oh.
Back-to-back.
Oh.
So with this, it was 3 episodes came out each Friday, back-to-back, which I kind of liked.
Me too.
I watched it as it came out. You binged it all, I think, which I like binging too. But
yeah,
it was enough for me to get excited about each week.
Yeah.
But then not feel like and then have something to look forward to, I guess. But,
yeah.
But I
yeah,
don't know.
that is nice. I've noticed like Disney has been doing that with their shows on Disney Plus, and I actually do like it that way. It's just like kind of just this slow release, and like you said, you have something to look forward to. Yeah, it's kind of nice. Yeah, it's kind of nice to spread it out like that instead of watching it all in an afternoon, just being like, oh man, now I gotta wait for season 2 in like 3 years.
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah.
And the way this one's split up too is, I don't know if it was the reason they did it or if they planned it this way, but like each 3 episodes is supposed to be like separate arcs of the show. So we can talk about the first arc first, which is, they're all, I guess it doesn't happen in the past. It just, all the, it follows kids. It's a bunch of kids,
Yeah.
Anything specific? You wanna, I know you had notes.
Well, okay, so from the opening, right, we already talked a little bit about this, but I got the impression that the Vander is his name, the father, they're like kids, and they're walking up on the bridge, and they see him like strangling somebody, and then they look, and there's like a pile of bodies next to him, and I guess that was their parents that were dead there, I assume, because they're not like... I got the impression that he had killed them and then adopted their kids, and that I was like kind of confused for a little while, like why they were so chill with him.
I think the enforcer he killed.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Was the one that killed her?
But it's just the framing of it. I was like, wait a minute.
Why is he taking care of it? Or
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. That is, I forgot. That's how it opens. It opens with an even further flashback. Basically.
Yeah.
And they're really little.
Yeah.
Of the first Zon or Undercity Revolution.
So so Jinx and Vi are actually sisters?
Yes, they are. Okay. They are sisters.
Okay, they're not like
orphans
that
sisters.
found each other. Okay.
No. They're blood sisters, as far as I'm aware.
And why? So her name is Vi. She has tattooed Vi on her face. Is it
when she's older?
Why would you tattoo your name on your face?
Why does she has other... I forget. I meant to look at her other tattoos.
I thought it was like... it's like a 6 in Roman numerals.
I think... I would have to look at... It didn't mention it in the show, I don't think. But there is some relation to the number 6.
Okay.
I think they were... At the time they released the champion, I think there's some clever tie-in.
She's the 6th champion.
She wasn't the 6th champion, but there's some tie-in, like she was... Maybe prisoner number 6, or I don't know.
New prison.
But it had nothing, like she wasn't named after that. Her name was already Violet.
I see.
But Vi, I don't know. I guess I don't know if in the game she even has a tattoo on her face though. I'm not sure. I bet there's probably some. If you're watching and you know Deep League of Legends lore, tell us why she actually if the number 6 is related to Violet or Vi at all.
It's just really weird to tattoo your name on your face. That's
if
not
I
normal.
Shriver under my eye.
That'd be really cool.
Maybe Post Malone might have done.
Oh, he probably did. Yeah.
But we don't see her. We see them all as after the initial when they're very small and their parents die. We see them as a bit older, probably like teenagers, young teenagers.
Yes.
And they have a rambunctious group of friends.
Yes.
Clagger and Milo? I think, were the two
No clue what their names
that
are.
hang out with them, and they're on a. They have a. It makes it imply that someone gave them a tip that a residence in Piltover.
Right. It was Echo. There was a guy that came to his shop.
Oh.
And Echo gave them the tip because he had some cool shit.
Yeah.
It must have been the doctor guy, right? It must have been him because he was the only one that probably would go to the Undercity.
Yeah. I mean,
well, no, that was before. Never mind.
Yeah, I don't know.
They
I
weren't
mean, it could have just
connected.
been. It maybe it wasn't anyone specific. It was just like, oh, Echo, while working at that guy's shop, got the tip or overheard the tip or something. But
Yeah. Well, that's yeah.
I'm
It
not
was
sure.
Echo.
But also, you should mention Echo's like considerably younger. I think, isn't he? Then he's almost like
He's like a little small
he's
little
a
boy.
yeah, he's a little small little boy at that time.
They called him like Little Man, I think.
Yeah. But that's really. I mean, he shows up periodically during the younger period, but doesn't really do much. I don't think.
No, he spies. He spies on people and kind of gives out information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they take this tip, and I guess Vander had told them never to go to Piltover or something, or above ground.
Yeah, out of the Undercity. Or I don't know if it was that specific like district or if it was like the entirety.
Or maybe it was just don't cause trouble up there, because obviously at that time they're allowed to go up there, but basically don't pick a fight with the enforcers, who were sort of the police.
Yeah. Because they had a deal. I guess Vander had a deal with the enforcers in order to keep them out of each other's deals.
Yeah, like basically, let us do our thing down here, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
We won't bother. I won't let things sneak into above ground and let trouble get up there, basically.
Yeah.
But Vander doesn't. Like the people of the Undercity don't really know, because I remember at some point, I think it's Vi sees him talk about that, and she feels like, or maybe it was Echo.
It was Echo was like spying through the
spying again, I guess. Because he's surprised, like he seems like concerned, because I guess no one knew that Vander had this like agreement with the quote unquote enemy at the time.
Yeah. Which is, there's a real weird hierarchy or government system here. So like they're like what does Piltover even do really for the Undercity? I mean, what does the Undercity even do for?
It's kind of the slums. I mean, I get what you're saying. Like, why does the Undercity even exist?
Or why do they even need this agreement if they're already like completely separate entities?
Well, they're not supposed to be. I mean, I think part of the idea is that the Undercity, without like Vander's help or agreement, is completely under the rule of Piltover, as they're just part of Piltover, just like a district of it, but they're treated poorly, and like the government doesn't help them with the noxious gas that's hurting them. They don't take care of the city. They don't. But then at the same time, it's like, wait, but Vander has an agreement to keep them out of their hair.
Yeah.
And I think the whole idea is supposed to though be like they're discriminated against because they're the slums, they're poor, that kind of thing.
They do mention there's like mines. I know it's Siltco. Is that his name? Eyeball guy?
Silco, yeah.
He mentions like several times, like he's talking to people and he's like, you guys don't remember how the air used to be unbreathable and because of the mines. And
that's a good point. I know that
I don't know what they were mining.
Piltover is known for their machinery, so it's possible that would make sense. It's probably in the lore somewhere, like why they're dug underground like that.
Yeah.
Because of a mining operation.
Yeah.
To fuel the kind of industrial, robotic nature of that Piltover's known for. So.
Okay.
But that's, again, it's not explicitly clear in the show. Like,
yeah, and it's not, I guess, like, what were they, like, before Hexco, what were they manufacturing? Because Hexco seems to be where all these cool little things are coming out of.
Yeah, Hextech.
Hextech, right.
It, just machinery in general, like guns, robotics. I know it's not clear in the show, but they're like, oh, everyone's an engineer or whatever. They have like their whole identity is based around like engineering. Piltover.
Okay.
But you're right. Until Hex Tech is created and you see all these cool inventions, it's like, what really were they? I mean, I guess they were. I guess it was just normal stuff like guns. I don't know, just like what we consider machinery and equipment.
Yeah.
But that was supposed to be Piltover's identity before Hex Tech.
Yeah, I did just get, I guess, that feeling like throughout that there were a lot of like little details that just weren't like really explicitly told to us. So that's I guess like a lot of world building maybe. I didn't know how much of it I was like supposed to just know from playing the game or like if it was.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean,
it's not that big an issue because I feel like it's mostly focused on the characters, which is fine. I'm not really complaining about it. Just
no,
like,
but you're right. I guess it was. I didn't think about it. It was more obvious to me that like, even in the game where Hextech already exists, like the Piltover characters often focus around a proclivity to tinker, be engineers, etc. That sort of thing.
Okay. And there was some sort of magic war, like little cute furry man talks about
Heimerdinger.
Talks about how there was like an ancient magic war or something, and then there's no magic now.
Yeah, that's.
I guess we kind of already talked about that, but
I want to point out that's not, at least as far as I'm aware, like an explicit event that I'm familiar with from the lore. Like that was news to me, and I was like, oh, that's the way they're basically going to explain why no one has magic right now.
Right.
Because in the game, almost all 100 characters either use Hextech or some form of magic in one way or another. So I'm like, how does nobody? Obviously, this is just one specific city, basically, of a bunch. But I was kind of like, how do they explain? No magic.
So, anyways, I guess so. They end up stealing from the lab of Scientist Man.
Victor.
Really bad with the names in this. Victor. Okay, they steal.
Well, Victor and Jace.
Well, it wasn't Jace's lab yet. He comes in later.
Right.
Or wait,
which
one's which?
It was Jace's the hammer guy.
It was right. It was Jace's.
Yeah, it was Jace's lab because he had the blue ball from the blue ball.
He had a couple blue balls.
He had multiple blue balls that he had developed. Oh, right, because So basically, they go in there to steal it.
Well, they don't really know what they're looking for, but that's one of the things that they find.
They start stealing just like all the little gadgets laying around, and I think Jinx, someone comes across the blue balls.
She goes by Powder at that time.
That's right. I forgot her name. Her God-given name is actually Powder.
Christian name.
I did not know that. That could have been in the lore beforehand, but in fact, it probably was. But her name is Powder. And they find those balls, and how does it get set off again?
Somebody's trying to get in, and I think she just accidentally drops one, and it just blows up.
Yeah, apparently they're extremely unstable.
Yeah.
She just drops it, I think.
Yeah, which there's another point a little bit later where she drops them again. Like, she drops like 3 of them, and they don't go off. I was like waiting for. I'm like, those are gonna explode, and then they just don't. Like,
I thought something else happens to set off the actual reaction.
I don't think so. I think she just drops it. Or maybe I don't know. Maybe I missed something, but
it very well could be.
But yeah, that ends up creating the sort of the catalyst for everything.
Very big explosion.
Yeah,
and then what it was, I guess.
And they all just look down so they can be noticed by the enforcers and chased through the city.
They're kids. They don't know what the hell they're doing.
They're like, oh, shit.
Basically, the one thing that Vander didn't want them doing, bringing the attention or getting in trouble with enforcers above ground. They get noticed, and a chase ensues.
The chase, yes.
They get into a fight with, I forget his name, but a guy who's kind of a kid, basically.
Was he an important character?
Not important, but he kind of ends up helping Silco.
He injects him with the purple.
He's the first person to get Shimmer really experimented on him with. But Jinx loses the... They have those balls, the blue balls.
Yeah.
She drops them in the river.
Oh, yeah.
She gets cornered.
And
then she gets made fun of for dropping all the loot. They call her a Jinx because every mission you go on, you mess up.
Yeah.
So she's really sad about that.
I wondered why they didn't just go try to swim down and get it, you know? Like, surely it couldn't be that hard. I mean,
I
might be gross in there,
I was like, does she not? She knows where she dropped it.
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna be right there.
It could be an extremely deep river, but it seems weird to just be like, oh shucks, all the loot is gone. But yeah, so that's kind of the first she has some teasing, I think, before that, but you can tell getting called a Jinx or just getting berated in general kind of is really rough on her.
Yeah. Her development in this, I thought, was really, really well done. Everything felt really connected and made sense for her. But yeah, so early on, she has like I guess like an inferiority complex or something. She's like smaller and younger than everybody else, and she's like trying to help, and then just fucks everything up constantly in big ways. And
over and over again.
And
people let her know. I mean, like, I guess. Well, and
she has a habit of like eavesdropping on people as well. Yeah, they're talking.
For the most part, you know, and this is part of her development. You know, people make fun of her for it, or call her out, or berate her, but Vi is usually like standing strong next to her, like covering for her.
Yeah. And
then it you know, I don't know if we want to jump to it yet, but that's the moment that gets pulled out, basically, is she breaks. Like the time that Vi turns on her to her face, it, you know, Jinx is kind of changed
at
forever.
The end of that.
But I forget what, like, the second episode.
Yes.
I guess that's probably around the time that Jace and Victor meet, which Victor's like a young scientist, and I really kind of like Victor as a character too, but it's partially I'm even more excited because I know about the champion, like what he is in the game, so that'll be probably a more season 2 thing. But Victor and Jace meet, and it's like Jace gets expelled or is facing expulsion from the academy for making those blue balls, and Victor says, "Hey, I'll help you with those blue balls."
Yep.
And then cue a montage of them doing experiment things, and then we've discovered Hextech. We've created Hextech.
They do it. There's a cool thing where they figure it out, and then they start floating in the air.
Whoa!
It's really cool.
I don't remember the details of all that, but I know that it is interesting how it's just like, two smart boys cracked the mystery of the millennia.
They figure it out.
But
yeah, they get help from the one council member. What's her name? Is she?
Which one? The one that Jason's up with, or the mom?
Yeah.
Okay,
no, not the mom yet.
Her name's like Mel, I think. She's not in the game at all.
Okay, by her design, she seems like very.
That's kind of what I was getting at earlier when I mentioned these are the only champions that show up. I was like, there are some characters in the show that are really well designed that I'm like, that could be a champion, even though it's not.
Yeah.
Like,
she's got like an elaborate backstory as well.
Yep. Yeah, so no, she's not, as far as I'm aware, unless she like eventually undergoes a change that I'm not aware of and becomes a champion that exists.
Yeah. There's actually one that I was wondering about, if that might be a thing.
You can ask me.
Oh, okay. It's actually the very last episode. But there's so Victor is like touching the thing, and he gets his little metal. So there's that girl that comes running in because she's like in love with him, and she gets like evaporated, disintegrated. I don't know if this will be revealed in season 2, but I'm wondering if she's like because like the orb or it's not really like an orb, but it changes
the hex core.
Yeah, and it almost seems like it's maybe communicating with him or trying to in some way. So I was like wondering, like, is her essence like in this orb thing now? Is maybe she a character?
I'll just say you're onto something.
Okay, cool.
You're getting onto part of the reason why I'm really excited what they end up doing with Victor.
Okay. The other thing is like maybe she's bonded with him because after that's the moment he gets like the weird metal arms.
I'll
and
say
legs.
this. I don't think it's a spoiler, but she's not in the games. But the idea you're hinting at, I think they may go that route with explaining some things with how Victor ends up. So you'll see season 2. I'm sure.
Can't wait.
Yeah. So, back to the first 3 episodes.
Yes, back to the first 3 episodes.
So that's the second episode is mostly them inventing the hex tech, while at the same time Silco and Singed are experimenting with Shimmer. Which, to give you an idea, it was cool seeing Singed as just the man he was, because Singed is like the evil scientist helping Silco, and he ends up helping Victor too because he's his mentor as a kid or something. But Singed in the games is I don't know if that's a spoiler. I mean, Singed is one of the oldest characters in the games, and he's always been like completely wrapped in bandages. You kind of start to see that in the show when he gets burned.
Yeah, he's all messed up.
Then he has to wear bandages, and I was like, oh, okay, that's his thing. But they're experimenting with Shimmer, which is not, as far as I'm aware, what wasn't really a thing in the games.
Yes.
For as big of a...
Oh, it's not?
Yeah, for as big of a plot point as... I mean, maybe there's like a couple characters, but it's not like... it's not relevant at all. I mean, it's especially when you think about the idea that for the most part in the show, although a couple of the champions use it, and maybe it's an item you can buy in the game, but for the most part we see like just normal human characters using it to be able to do extraordinary things, I guess. But it also has addictive qualities.
Yeah. I was like messing people up down in the...
Yeah, I was a little confused about that, and I kind of wrote it off to, if you use it properly, you won't end up a junkie or something, because there's multiple characters that we see use it on a regular basis, but then we also end up seeing the people whose lives are like destroyed by it. For instance, the one girl with the arm who uses the injections, she uses it regularly. I think Singed uses it a couple times. They use it on Jinx to heal her. Silco, the one reason I'm like, oh, if you use it responsibly maybe, is because Silco uses just a drop in his eye, I guess, to help him fight his rot. But we also see like multiple times, people in the Undercity who are like, clearly their lives were ruined because they got addicted to it.
Yeah, they use it too much. I don't know. Maybe you're supposed to use it in small doses or
something.
With like the girl's arm. I think it's just in her arm.
Yeah, it does make it look like that. Which then it's like, it works on machinery, or like what? Like I don't know. I wasn't. That was one of those things where I had no idea or any context really about Shimmer, but it seems to mostly just like make people very strong and aggressive. And quick, just it enhances their physical abilities, but also almost makes them like feral in a way. But they can still follow orders. Like, it's not like they're completely mindless.
Yeah.
So I think the two sort of things going on in episode 2 were like on the higher or in Piltover, they discovered hex tech, and then there's like experimentation and other things going on in the Undercity.
Yeah. They do have to convince the council to let them do that, because the council's like, no, you should do that.
Yeah, looking
And
back,
there's-
that was a little. They were like, "We'll give you how many? It's like a certain amount of time if you figure it out and impress us, or something like that."
Yeah.
I think. I'm like, really? That's how you
Yeah.
deal with dangerous like technology or whatever.
Yeah,
But-
I mean, yeah, they see firsthand like what it's what it's able to do, because it just one of those things like blows up a whole side of a building. Like, it's really dangerous stuff. But yeah, I guess we get it shows Heimerdinger as kind of like he's very against magic. He's kind of the old guard. It seems like he at least at that he's like the leader of the enforcers as well, right? He like leads the.
Probably technically, like I think that all the council kind of can control the enforcers, but there is a.
He wears the uniform. That's the only one.
Yeah, I mean, there's really that one. At the time, that one, I guess they called the sheriff, the older lady. She's technically in charge of the enforcers, but by extension, the enforcers are supposed to answer to the council, as far as I could tell.
Okay.
And Heimerdinger was kind of seen as the elder of the city, so he's kind of at the time was the most important council member.
It seemed like he had the most influence over like the council decisions and everything at that time. But yeah, I guess Jace goes around and wins the council members over. Is it before the time? I can't remember if when he dethrones like
That's later.
That's later.
But
okay.
This time I think there's a vote, but they show them the hex tech.
Yeah.
And they're all.
Oh right, and he's like gonna present it, right? I remember.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, he, and Victor sort of have their moment of discovering hex tech, but then I'm trying to think. Obviously, episode 3 has a pretty big like ending to it, but I can't remember like what all goes on during. If I'm missing anything besides like the.
So 2.
Well,
I don't think so.
anyway, episode 3, it kind of comes. It's the end of the first arc. Things kind of. Oh, go ahead.
They do. Okay, there's a couple. So there's that guy who shows up later, the like glasses dude in the bar. You remember he's like talking to those people?
Yeah.
And then he shows up later. He's like super messed up.
Yeah.
Is he important in some way? That's like the only 2 times we see him. Like,
no, I mean he's just in the show.
Don't remember that character when he shows up again.
Yeah, no, he's just in the show, and as far as I can tell, I think it was a way to show the effects of Shimmer, because you see him as a normal person, and I forget he's part of a scene that basically shows that Vander is like kind of the de facto leader of Undercity because or whatever. But yeah, you see him show back up, and he's a Shimmer addict and really messed up.
Yeah.
And I think he even betrays Vi, maybe. To Silco.
Yeah, it's unclear. I think he's part of it, but it's unclear if he's just like shows up and maybe takes it, but that wouldn't really.
Because Silco does give him some Shimmer for pointing out where they are.
He just kind of grabs it.
Yeah.
Just assume he was one of those 3 that sold her out.
Yeah, but 3, things are coming to a head because. Oh, that's right. I'm forgetting. I'm kind of muddled, but like, at some point. So Silco is giving the Shimmer to that one kid. I forget his name, but he ends up killing the lady in Fort, like the sheriff.
Yeah.
Which there's also another, and I should point out, the other enforcer with her at the time is named Marcus, I think. And he ends up being the sheriff in the time for the time jump. But
I figured it was hard to tell because he wears a mask most of the time.
Yeah, he's who ends up being the sheriff, and he's much more involved, I think, in the second half or the rest of the story. But at the time, the older lady, I guess I think they introduced Caitlin as well, or is she?
Caitlin doesn't show up until after the time. I don't think.
Okay, but there's a flashback for Caitlin and the old lady enforcers in it. So,
right. Yeah. That's later.
Right. Sorry. But I can't remember what leads up to it, but I guess it all comes back to the bomb that the kids set off.
Yeah.
The enforcers are really investigating the city. Vander is refusing to give up the kids. There's certain people of the underground who are like, you need to just give them up and to save ourselves or something from the enforcers.
Yeah.
And then somehow, while the enforcers are down there, I guess Silco had released that kid with the shimmer in him, and he ends up killing the head enforcer.
Yes.
But then, what prompts them to, like, is that what prompts them, like, Vander and them to go after Silco?
No. So the lady enforcer gets killed, and then Vander's out there, and they have, like, a conversation. Silco is there. He shows up, and they have, like, a conversation. I think Vander starts fighting that guy, but he loses, and then he gets kidnapped. And so he takes him over to the lab.
Okay, Vander gets kidnapped. I forgot all about that.
Yeah.
I was like, why are they all together in that building?
Yeah, it's because they go to save him.
Right. It also, is that when Vander and Silco are talking, it explains that Vander stabbed Silco and dropped him in the whatever Undercity River or some river.
In the Thames, yeah.
And it's so dirty, the water that.
Oh, maybe that's why they didn't go swim for the. If it's so
maybe.
dirty.
Maybe that is why.
I didn't realize it was like the plot point.
The water is so polluted that it causes Vander causes Silco some sort of rot, like
he's got a weird nasty eyeball.
Yeah, and his skin's kind of grayish, but
yeah.
So that's, you see that. Okay, so Silco was betrayed by Vander.
Yeah.
You still don't get the full picture there, because I don't think it explains that Silco wanted to keep fighting for an independent Zon, and Vander just wanted to broker peace.
Yeah.
And still be under. It doesn't explain that yet. You just think that.
Yeah.
Silco's kind of the bad guy, de facto bad guy. Like, Vander did the right thing. I think it gets a little more interesting when they explain the whole independent Zon versus Vander just brokering peace, because it almost, not that Silco ever becomes like, oh my gosh, he was actually a good character, but you actually realize he had something he was fighting for, rather than just being, I'm evil. Like, he wanted them to be an independent nation.
Yep.
But you find that out much later. Back to episode 3.
Yeah.
They kidnap Vander. The kids. The chillins.
Yeah. Well, I do kind of want to talk about Silco, I guess, a little bit, because I had trouble, I guess, understanding what he was doing, because he betrayed him. I didn't really know why he betrayed him, and it just seemed like this whole thing was maybe a plot point for revenge, was kind of the idea. And then I don't know, I guess I assumed it was he just happened to get I don't know, it made more sense at the end, but I kind of was like, did he have like some plan to do something for the Undercity, or did he just decide that after the fact, and it was just this part of it, he was just trying to get revenge?
Yeah, I think it's a little mixed. I think he probably does feel, because I think he even has a speech about, like, just wanting to get back at Vander for it. It's not like he was doing it for his greater vision, or maybe he was to get him out of the way. I don't remember the speech exactly.
Yeah.
But I see what you're saying, like, until that, like, I think even final episode almost, or last 2, you don't really get a clear idea of, like, I just was under the impression Silco's evil and he wants to perform his drug trade. But it turns out, like, he kind of just wanted to do the drug trade to get the resources necessary to eventually become independent. But you don't know, like, the majority of the show, and it's not even like a twist surprise, I don't think. It's sort of slowly over the last two episodes, you're like, oh, he doesn't want to give up Jinx, and he kind of just wants the Undercity to gain their independence. Like,
yeah.
But why did he seem so like the evil drug lord? Like,
yeah, he does some good things and some bad things. Like, I think he's a good character. He's like a good villain because there are some like definite
complexities.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you can tell that he definitely like really cares for Jinx. Like he there's this bond that they share, which is really sweet. He also, I believe, because in the early part, the Undercity is like they have to wear gas masks to go into the Undercity because the air is like that shitty. And then later on, you know, he makes the speech. He's like, "You guys don't remember what the air used to be like." So I think he fixed that.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think originally the idea was the people in the Undercity who lived there were kind of like used to it, but he had fixed it to a point that when he turned off the filtering that he had, like how he had fixed that, they had gotten so used to the cushy life that he was like reminding them what he did for them. So yeah I thought that was it's like, oh, what, like,
yeah,
is he good? Like, he's not a good
he's
guy.
He's not a
but
fully bad guy.
He's not. He's a bad guy that you know can understand sort of at the end of it. You get what he's going for, and we can get to the big scene at the end of season or episode 3, because you know I want to talk about something that happens with Silco and Jinx there. But basically, they catch Vander. Kids go to save him.
Yeah.
Once again, there's some cool action scenes there, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it is really cool to see like Vi when she fights, because it's just bare knuckle brawling, and those scenes are like really cool.
Yeah.
Really well done. Yeah, it's.
But I guess in that, so that point, they get cornered kind of while they're saving Vander, and Jinx has the bright idea to. She's kind of like off in a separate area, but able to see everything happening.
Yeah.
And she sets up one of her little Tinker Toys grenades that haven't worked up to this point.
Yeah.
She puts one of the magic blue balls in it and tries to help by sending it out there.
Yeah. So the situation is that they walk into this building and there's nobody there. It ends up it's a trap, and so they end up kind of. Vi like fights for a little bit. She beats up everyone, doesn't she? Except the
Shimmer dude.
Or is it? Yeah, right. Or was it Vander that did that? I can't remember, because I think they got him out of the braces, and he was fighting for a little bit, but then he got beat up by it.
He definitely Vander. Maybe he does fight.
I think it was him actually.
But he basically ends up getting gravely injured by the Shimmer dude.
Right, and they throw him off the edge, and he falls into the fire, and then he injects himself with Shimmer, and fights the guy. Am I getting ahead of?
No, I think that's right.
Did she set the bomb off before that?
No. The bomb's like the last thing to happen.
Okay.
She sets the bomb off, and it basically kills.
Right. So the other setup is that they left her behind. They're like, "Oh yeah, you're a mess up. We don't come with us. Stay here."
Well, Vi's just like, you know, she's a little more nice about it at this point. But the other Clacker and Milo, you know, it's the typical like you're a Jinx, like you're gonna mess it up. And Vi says like, you know, be strong or something.
Yeah.
Gives her words of encouragement, but she's away from all this.
Yeah.
Which then she
shows up.
Try to help.
Yeah. And like you said, her things didn't work before, but she thinks, because she has the little blue gems now, that with those, her things will actually work this time.
Which, and this is, it's sort of hinting at what happens later, that she's able to, she figures out how to weaponize the blue things, I guess.
Yeah, she gets much better at it.
Gets much better
much
at it,
better.
She sends this little walking grenade, or sends a grenade there.
Mm-hmm.
It blows up, and I could be misremembering this, but does it, in that moment, is that what kills Milo and Clagger?
Yeah.
Pretty much instantly. So you got to realize these have been like the childhood friends that are in the gang. The first 2 episodes get like blown to a crisp.
Yeah, this was a brutal scene to watch. I mean, because and so she puts this bomb in, and it starts walking, and then it explodes. Right, it blasts. I guess you just described this, but it blasts the door, and then they get flung backwards, and then like a bunch of rafters or shit fall on them, and they die. But the I guess the sad thing about watching it though is like she's very happy, like she's proud of herself, like she's fallen backwards and she's smiling.
She doesn't really realize
idea
at this point because the grenade walks a certain like it doesn't. It's not like she was watching what happened really closely. It blows up, but she can't really tell what's going on. So she thinks everything's great.
Yeah, so it's...
Meanwhile, Vi is in there. She's like close. And I guess the aftermath is obviously you see Milo. You know, Milo and Clagger died. And Vander's like laying there. And Vi is crying over his body, I think.
Okay, so when they're in the room, right? So some shit falls on Vi too, and then Vander, I think, saves her. Maybe this is the point where he injects himself with the...
No, he injects himself when he falls off the railing.
Right. But he saves her, and then they crash out the back. Yeah.
Yeah, but Jinx eventually shows up.
Yeah.
I mean, Vander has his last words with Vi and like dies.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know how Jinx sees it, but she eventually gets down there and she's all happy.
Yeah.
Thinking she helped, and that her I forget what she calls them, but it worked. Like her little grenade worked.
Yeah.
And so she sees Vi over Vander's body.
Yeah.
Vi goes off on her, berates her.
Yeah.
I think she calls her you really are a Jinx. She says
it's the last thing she says to her.
She mentions at some point that you're not my sister or something too, because that becomes a big thing.
Yeah, and then she walks away.
Yeah, but what really got me about that episode and that part is when Jinx or Powder realizes what she did. Yeah, like Clagger, Milo, and Vander all dead. By her doing,
it's heavy.
Basically she starts crying, but it's not like a normal like cry, like oh my gosh I'm sad. It was like the voice actor and the animation they did for it. It was like traumatic, like something in my mind just broke crying.
Yeah,
like she is not okay.
Yeah,
like it has messed her up what she just did and what she's seen. And they did a really good job of showing that. Like I was like, oh my gosh, like
yeah, and I believe Vi actually slaps her in this scene.
Oh yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, which is
and Vi leaves her. Like I said before, up to this point, Vi was like the kind of only, I mean, Vi was always there for her, and was the only. And then so this getting pulled out, it's like it's just very clear how much it broke Powder, which ends up becoming even more clear in the rest of the series, which is why I think it works so well, and why Jinx's character, development is so well done. But she's there having a mental breakdown and crying, and Silco shows up to the scene, sees Vander dead, sees Powder there, and I forget his exact words. He ends up mentioning them later again, but basically he takes Powder in and says that they're going to show them, they'll show the world or something like that. But it, that's like the last thing of episode 3 is Silco finding Powder crying and then seemingly taking her under his wing.
Yeah, he's able to, I mean, he realizes that she's the one that made the explosion and everything, so he does realize her value, and in this moment maybe is using her more than just like actually feeling for her. But
that's what I wanted to mention was at the time you watch it, it's pretty clear that he's not doing it out of the kindness of his heart or that he cares about Powder. You know, it's purely because he thinks it's going to give him an upper hand or he's going to be able to use her in some way. Which, again, like, it's part of what's interesting about Silco is by the end of the series, you know that he actually cares for Powder eventually. But at the time that when he meets her and takes her in, you know that's, you know, he seems very nefarious still, which he never doesn't seem nefarious, but you get a little more sympathy towards him, I think, towards the end of the series.
Yeah, for sure. So Vi like walks away, and then she sees, I guess, Silco walk up to her, and then she's about to run back, but she gets pulled away by I believe the other enforcer, that whatever his name was. Marcus.
That's right. Marcus, he like drugs her. So he puts the which,
chloroform.
Yeah.
And then I believe he just takes her to prison, I guess.
Yeah. I was confused when that first happened because I was like, why did he do the chloroform thing? It looked like he was trying to be sneaky, which I guess he was because Silco was right there kind of, but it just seemed odd to me. Like, I don't know. And then she shows up, like you said, the next episode.
Yeah, I believe that guy, he had a deal with Silco.
But not yet.
I think he did, because I think he helped. He's the one that gave Silco the information. I think, because at that point where they get attacked, he's like, he says something like, I didn't know you were gonna kill.
Oh, I think you're right.
He says something like that.
He gives him a bag of money.
Right, he throws money at him.
Yeah.
So they were working together at
That's
that
true.
point.
Then that makes even less sense why he dragged her away. Wouldn't he have taken her to Silco?
I don't think. No, I think the whole thing, he was after the person that did the bombing originally. So I think he really did just want her.
Oh, okay.
To take her away.
Gotcha.
So I think that was it. I don't think he was really like working for Silco, more as working with.
Yeah, I guess
Silco.
I just like I just didn't understand the chloroform choice. It was like
she's a fighter.
Yeah, I guess
she would have killed him.
Yeah, she probably would have.
Yeah, but it is really sad because like if she had maybe been able to like run back and like she clearly felt bad for what she did.
If Jinx would have even been able to notice that she tried to run back, things would have turned out differently. But as it is, Jinx is there having a mental breakdown, thinking her sister has just left her without thinking twice.
Completely abandoned her. Yeah. And doesn't come back for what is it, like 5 years?
Yeah, because so the next episode there's a time skip.
Yes.
They are. I don't know if it's. I think it might be more than. Is it just 5 years? Maybe?
Something like that.
Yeah. So they're.
I want to say this was like just the ending of this episode and then into the next episode is definitely where I was like, oh, this show's great. This show's really cool. I started to get really into it.
The end of episode 3 is just really well done. Like,
yeah.
And unexpected kind of that they would go so it's pretty dark, like without being like overtly obviously dark, but to have like the traumatic experiences that Powder or Jinx goes through at that point, it's like, damn, like they just blatantly showed a kid accidentally kill her friends and surrogate father, celebrate thinking she did something good for the first time in her life.
Yeah.
Find out that she killed them, and have her sister, the only one who's ever stood up for her, abandon her.
Yeah.
All in like a just well done scenes. Like it's a lot. It's pretty heavy.
A lot. Yeah.
But I think that is the first moment for me, because like up to that point you can really. I mean, it is well done all the way through, I feel like. But that point, like, elevates it a bit. Like, that was definitely the high point. And I think what probably, same for me. Like, I was going to watch it regardless, but, like, that point, it like hooks you. I feel like so if you've made it this far and you haven't seen it, sorry, you're getting everything spoiled. But if you're recommending it to friends, at least get them through episode 3.
Yeah, and even if they haven't seen League of Legends, because that's where I am.
Yeah.
Or haven't played League of Legends. I mean. Yeah. So we do a time skip, and now we're in the future.
We're in the future.
We're in the future, and all the characters are in very different places. I guess we start with Jace, right? We're more focused on him early on.
It's Progress Day, is that how?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something. Yeah, they call it that, and they're gonna make like. They were gonna make like a big announcement. I guess it was the balls, right? They made the gems into more balls.
They had managed. So there's like a montage, not a montage, but it does a good job showing what technologies have come about because of Hextech and how things have changed. So now,
yes,
they invented teleporters, so their trade is going really well with other nations. There's other just clips of machinery and things that are doing stuff because of Hextech. But then I guess up till that point they were kind of jagged balls.
Yeah.
But Jace and Victor found a way to make them smooth blue balls. And they're going to announce it.
And then they don't. He's
and
like
Heimerdinger tells them not to. Remember?
Is that what happened?
Yeah, because they make a show of it, and it's like able to be like I remember Victor shoots a laser.
Oh.
And
no, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, because they show it to him.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, looks very similar to the shit that destroyed everything or whatever."
So, yeah.
He's like, "Oh, that's bad. You got to get rid of that." I didn't see that was the reason he decided to not announce it.
Well, he specifically said, like, he does say that, like, this is too similar, but he also says, like, it's not ready yet, or like don't like you need to be able to control it better, or make sure it can't be weaponized or something like that. And I guess the whole thing is like Victor wants him to announce it and saying things like we need progress. Blah blah blah. And it does something that I thought they were going to go into more detail with, but like Jace gets like all the credit for everything. Like there's even a moment in that scene where like you make it seem like the way they cut to him makes it seem like Victor's like upset because Jace is the one doing the announcement. Jace that gets all the applause.
Yeah, I don't know if he was. I don't think he wanted the limelight because they show before he gets on stage. He's talking to him. He's like, you should come up here with me. We're partners. And he's like, no, it's not for me. I don't think he likes being the face of it or the limelight.
Yeah, I don't think he does. But I obviously it's been a while since I watched it. But there was a moment during that scene where it's blatantly obvious, like maybe the announcer or somebody, they don't even mention Victor. And again, not that he wants it, but it made it seem like it was like, I don't know, Jace maybe felt bad about it or something. I don't know. But anyway, Jace decides in the split moment to, wait, does he reveal it? I don't even remember.
He doesn't. He decides not to.
Oh, maybe that's why Victor's upset, because Victor wanted to reveal it, I think.
Yeah, he did. He was expecting him to. Yeah, and the other girl, Mel, is that what you called her?
I think that's her name, the councilwoman.
Okay, yeah, she gets up and walks out as he doesn't announce it, so she's upset.
Too.
She wanted him to announce it.
Yeah.
I wasn't really clear why he just decided not to, because if it's just based on Heimerdinger, I mean, does he really care that much about what Heimerdinger thinks? Like, he gets rid of him in the next...
there's a lot of politics, I think, in those next 3 episodes. It kind of showed. So Jason's up, not showing it, but how does he leverage his way into a council position?
Council position.
I can't remember what kind of
Well, he works with like Mel, assuming that's the name. He works with her, and she like teaches him how to like earn favor with the other council members. They're like in an opera or something, and
Yeah, but that was after he was a council member.
was it?
Yeah, I'm trying to think what's like. How did he get his spot originally? Was it just like, hey, you invented hex tech?
I feel like it had something to do with his connection to the girl.
She helps him.
She helps him.
after-
She must
after
have been
he
the one
got
to
the counselors, but
suggest it.
She
and
she
be like,
probably did like to the other counselors or something.
Yeah.
And to him, because he
Yeah.
initially I don't think he's like interested, but
Yeah, they decide to. I don't know, because he's like the head of Hexco, and Hexco is like, or Hextech. Hextech. Sorry.
no.
Because he's like the head and he's like done so much for the city. I mean, it makes sense to like give him a voice in the council, you know. So I don't know. I think it just happens.
Yeah,
I don't think there's any.
happens.
It just kind of happens.
So he's worked his way up to a nice
Yeah,
counselor
I
position.
was a little confused about the family dynamic with him, because there's a scene where he's in Kate's room. So
Yeah. So
is he related to? Is he?
They were so he's a Jace Talus. His family name is Talus, and they were a company that created hammers before, like just normal hammers, for generations. Like, but to be in the like engineering academy, he had to have a sponsor family, and Kate's family sponsored him.
Where's all this lore coming from?
It's in the show. It's just very
Is it?
like convoluted. Like you see it the first time he's potentially going to get expelled, I think.
Right, you see his
Kate's
like mom,
Yeah.
Kate's mom. I thought it was his mom.
I forget which one.
That's why I
but
was confused. I'm like,
it does get it gets
mom.
talked about, and I remember the term sponsor family, and that it
Oh,
was like,
okay,
oh,
I
if you get
see.
expelled, you'd have to go back to making hammers in your family business or something.
Okay. Yes.
So that's why he's like friends and familiar with Kate, because he probably even lived with them, I think, while he was in the academy or something.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah, because the first impression I got from that was like, are they like in a relationship? Is that why they're together? But then that like never came up again. And I'm like, they must be just family
No,
or
I think
something.
he's more like a big brother to her.
Okay, that makes sense. It's kind of the vibe I
But
got.
you also, speaking of that, I don't know if it's that first episode, but we get introduced to Kate.
Yeah.
More in depth, like she
A
is
little bit, not super in depth.
We
get introduced to her.
You get introduced to her, and you can tell that she's like, you know, lives with a posh family.
Yeah.
But she even though she doesn't have to, she's an enforcer basically.
Yes.
She could just live a posh life, but she's chosen to be on the enforcers to do good.
Yeah.
Or something.
She's also the first like adult blue-haired woman that we see in the time skip. So my first thought was, oh, this Powder grown up? Like this is a weird glow up.
She has navy blue hair.
Oh, sorry. I'm like, but I was partly confused because I was like, it's either Powder or we've never seen this character before. She's just new.
I think we see her as a child, like in one scene.
That's later.
No. I think there's a scene again with Jace when he's gonna get kicked out of the academy.
Oh, maybe.
And you see Kate. They may mention her name once, but you wouldn't if you didn't know she was a champion. You'd probably just be like, oh, it's just some character. But
totally just
I think she was
glossed
a young girl.
Okay.
And she shows up once, but yeah, you see her. I did like the dad. Kate's dad has the same color hair as her.
Yeah.
Which kind of explains the blue hair. But then you have Vi and Powder who have like
pink and blue hair.
Uncommon. Like, is that their natural hair, or have they been dyeing it their whole life?
Hard to tell.
I guess it does in a world where there's all different kinds of creatures and stuff. It's not too much of a stretch to just be like, oh, there's different color natural hair or whatever.
Yeah.
But,
I'll accept it.
So we get introduced to her. I'm trying to think what else happens during that middle stretch.
During the middle stretch.
Like the middle 3 episodes.
Well, quite a lot, right?
You'll have to help guide me there because I don't exactly remember.
It's quite a build up. So Kate, we learn that she's a kind of a rebellious enforcer, and she's kind of got this sense of justice. So she does things she's not supposed to do in order to sort of help and figure out what the right thing to do is. So there's a scene where okay, well, the first thing we get introduced to, I guess, Jinx again for the first time, and the time skip is when they go to steal this shipment, and then they get attacked by the skateboard.
The Fireflies.
Yeah, the Fireflies.
I think
and
that's what they're called.
yeah.
Oh yeah, we do see. Yeah, that's. You see Jinx for the first time growing up, and she's like. I guess what was happening was Silco's men were there to steal a shipment or something. Fireflies were showing up to disrupt it, but Jinx was there to stop the Fireflies disrupting the transaction.
Yeah.
And she's pretty like. She's the Jinx that fans of the game understand, but she's way different than when she was younger. She's killing people. She seems crazy.
She was so cool. Oh man, it ended up becoming my favorite character just instantly. Like, Jesus.
Yeah. She was insanely popular when she was released, just because she's a really cool character, and like, you know, even before people really knew the backstory, she was still like known as like. Something broke inside her. She's kind of crazy, and I think they showed that really well. Especially
for sure.
Because previously, before the time skip, the last scene you see of her is Powder, and she's breaking down mentally, and you see kind of the results of that 5 years later, what she's become. And it's really well done.
Yeah.
Like I think even in the bottom, what happens is, as they're investigating in the ship. They see the paint outlines of Jinx's characters.
Yep.
And they have this just like creepy, like psychotic kind of quality to them.
Yeah.
And that shows up in a lot of places. But it just, you instantly understand that like, oh, this is Powder, but she is like...
She's unhinged.
She's unhinged, yeah.
Yeah, the way they animate her and the way she look, like, you can she's definitely different. She's definitely got that crazy kind of look in her eyes and the way she moves around.
And there's I think even in the initial reintroduction, they do this really cool effect where when she's like talking to herself, you'll sometimes see this flash of this jagged animation of Milo or Jagger, who she killed.
Right.
Like, they do like this like strobe effect of this jagged outline of them.
Yeah.
And it's really creepy, and I think it's a good representation of like her trauma or like mental problems with it. And they do it multiple times throughout the series, but it's just like every time it just feels really. It's a good way to show that she has demons and like stuff going on.
Voices in her head.
Which, we don't realize it at the time, but we see. I mean, I kind of had a feeling, just because I knew what his like design as an adult was, but we see Echo technically, but it's not.
Oh,
clear.
right, yeah.
Because there's an evidence of the group that comes on their little hover skateboards. There's clearly a leader. But they all have masks on, so you can't see.
Also, one of them's in the intro.
Oh, is it? I can't.
Yeah, they show one of the masked dudes, and it's like, well, one of them is important.
One of them's important. And I was wondering though, as someone who didn't know, were you able to guess that was Echo? Did you?
I
had
no idea.
Okay.
No.
I wasn't sure.
No clue.
I wasn't sure if in his Firefly outfit you could tell that he had like darker skin or white hair. I wasn't sure.
No, I didn't. I had no idea until he took the mask off.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
That was a pretty big surprise, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's how. So we kind of slowly get introduced to all these characters after the time skip. You see Victor and Jace kind of dealing with their Hextech revolution. You see Kate which is more of a really initial introduction to her.
Yes.
Because we didn't really see much of her younger. We see Jinx, unhinged. You don't realize it's Echo, so I won't count that one. And then Vi.
Yep.
So,
I don't. That might be towards the like very end of.
Yeah,
the
I think
episode.
it's because
Let me bring her back.
a massacre happens, right? Jinx kills a bunch of enforcers. Caitlyn's trying to track something down. What leads her to go look at?
Right. So that's why I had to bring up the ship thing, is because she, after that happens, she infiltrates this like ship and she finds like Jinx's, one of her like bombs, or she finds one of the guys, right, in like the cell, and she starts talking to him, and he, I think he gives up
Name, right? Or Vi, or I just can't remember.
No, she talks to him. Okay. She talks to him. That guy ends up getting thrown in prison, and then she goes to this prison to go talk to him, but he's been beat up by Vi, and so she talks to Vi instead.
Oh, right.
It's like, why did you beat up this guy? You must know something.
That's right, because she knew he was Silco's thug or whatever from before.
Yeah, there was something. Well, she has a big like map in her room of something she's working out. I think it has to do with
all the
it's
connections.
just Silco. Yeah, she's trying to
Yeah.
figure out this whole mystery and how.
Well, I meant why did Vi beat up the dude? Is because
she knew he was connected to Silco.
Yeah. But yeah, so you go and you. See, it wasn't clear to me immediately that Vi, when Marcus did the chloroform, I didn't like. It took me a little while to realize. Oh, I think she went directly to prison after that.
Yeah,
Like, I thought she maybe got thrown in prison for something. I kept waiting for them to like explain it, and I didn't even fully understand it. I think till you mentioned it earlier. I was like, oh yeah, I guess she got arrested for the bombing in the
she
first
just gets
episode.
sent straight to prison. I wondered the same thing also. I was like, wait a minute, why is she? I just put it together. I'm like, oh, last time we saw her, she got taken by the enforcer, and it makes sense.
Yeah. So Stillwater is like a Stillwater prison. I know is mentioned a lot in the game. Like there's characters who like spent time in there or are completely developed or just lived in there or worked there. So that's a thing. So when I recognized that name, I was like, oh, I recognize that. But that's about it.
I've heard of this.
But yeah, so she finds Vi there.
Yeah.
Does she has to go to Jace to get him to, like, she talks to Vi, realizes she like knows something, and then she has to go to Jace to get him.
She doesn't go to Jace. I believe what she does is she just signs his name. I don't know. It actually wasn't clear.
I thought
because it seemed like what happened because they mention it to him later. Like Marcus is talking to Jace, and he's like, by the way, just to let you know, Kate just let somebody out of prison. Like, did you sign off on this? And he seems surprised. He's like,
oh right, but he covers for her though.
Yeah,
that he did.
I think I think she just like did it, like signed his name on something. Like he didn't know that was something
maybe
that she
you're right.
was gonna do.
I can't remember that very well, but that sounds right. So she gets Vi out with the assumption that. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say it doesn't seem like there's much time that passes between like she goes and talks to her and then she leaves
back,
and comes like back. Yeah, I think she doesn't. There's not much time for her to really go and talk to him.
But
we never see that.
She's getting Vi to help track down the stolen blue ball, right? Because Jinx at some point steals the blue ball from.
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah.
Now, she doesn't know that Vi is Jinx's sister at this point, but
no,
she knows
Vi doesn't even know that she's Jinx's sister.
That's true. She just knows that Vi knows Silco's crew in the Undercity, I think, and that's why she was taking her down there, right?
Yeah, which is interesting because like Vi is very, like she's not really open. She's not like. It doesn't seem like she's super willing to talk to Kate or an enforcer about anything.
No, they're like polar opposites.
Yeah.
Then I think that's like that's kind of purposely done, but yeah, Vi and Kate are like. Vi grew up in the Undercity and has spent the last 5 years in prison. Mm-hmm. Kate grew up in a posh, rich family and
Yeah.
speaks with a posh accent.
Yes.
And has no idea, has never been to the Undercity, actually.
Right. Yeah. I don't think they're typically allowed usually.
Yeah. Well, you can, but they can't breathe the air because they didn't live down there.
Right.
And B, it's dangerous. Like, especially for like a rich person, I would assume. But
I think typically the only people that go down there are usually enforcers.
that's all we see. But like from a technical standpoint, they're the same city, and you are allowed to. It's just nobody does. It doesn't get quarantined off till tensions start rising.
I see. Yeah.
But her parents, I think, at some point forbid her from going down as well.
That might be it.
I think I remember her mom.
I kind of thought it was just because she wasn't one of the like corrupt enforcers that they wouldn't let her down there.
No, I think she technically could go down whenever she want, but she didn't like have a reason to. Plus, Vi kind of helps her have a method of going down there by having a guide. Kind of.
Right.
Um,
So they go down there.
they go down there.
Yes.
Vi kind of tricks Caitlin at some point. She like they go into like a brothel.
Yeah. So, well, first they go to like a restaurant and she eats some gross bugs or something. She's like, I miss this.
I miss
I these gross bugs. And then that gives her like a tip. I guess he like gives her a tip, and so she goes to this. Yeah, she goes to like a brothel. And then she kind of she I don't know. She like tells Kate like, you're attractive. You should try to talk to some of these people. Yeah. And so she does. I don't think there was any reason
I think it was supposed to be Kate's like first unsheltered moment, which is weird because she's an enforcer, but I guess she's like, it's one of those cases where she's an enforcer, but her family protects her so much as a member of the council that she's like the principal's daughter, basically, where she probably didn't get put in any dangerous situations, have never been to the underworld, like Undercity. So I think it was like a first like, oh my gosh, I've never been in debauchery before.
Yeah.
But I thought it was interesting. Like that's the first hint too that, you know, it's implied that she might be interested in girls too or something.
Yeah.
Because Vi makes some sort of comment about like, oh, like a dude, but then she's like, or a lady or something.
Yeah.
And then she ends up like being talking to the lady.
Yeah.
But Vi slips out during that
she just
time.
ditches her.
Which that was like Vi was purposely trying to trick her and ditch her there, right? Like it wasn't like, oh, Kate just got tied up or something. Like
I believe, she
okay.
was trying to get rid of her because she doesn't trust enforcers.
Yeah.
Where does she go after that?
Where does Vi go? She I feel like she talks to like the brothel owner, because the brothel owner was someone we had seen before the time skip.
Yeah.
I don't remember what they talk about. Gives her a tip, clearly.
Yeah.
Something about Shimmer, maybe.
Maybe.
I
was gonna see if I can find a synopsis.
I really like the design of, like, being a fan and having heard of like these cities and stuff talked about before. I thought that both the like Undercity, although it's like kind of the cliche trope and Undercity, I thought both Piltover and it's also credit to just the animation and like how it was drawn and stuff. But like I thought they were really well done. Like the Undercity really felt like lived in, and like the bars and the broth, like everywhere it felt like true to what it was trying to be, as opposed to a trope. But
I really liked the art style. Does it look like the game in terms of the art style? Do the characters like look the same way they do in the game?
Yeah, the characters do. The characters, I was really impressed by that. But there's just nowhere, at least I've only really played League of Legends. I mean, they also have a card game, like what's called like an auto chess game. But like none of their games really lend themselves to like fully rendered 3D environments. or like stuff of the detail we see in the show. So they had like backbones for a lot of this stuff, but beyond the champion designs, everything else was like original, if that makes sense. That's why I was really impressed by the non-champion characters that I'm like, that was a really cool design. Like even, I think later on, like Finn, like a lot of the bad guys, like the dude with the golden jaw and all the tattoos.
Yeah.
It's like, he's just a dude. Like, he's just a crime lord in the Undercity. Same with the one girl who had like the green things hooked into her. Like,
oh yeah, and the weird nose.
yeah, it's like, those are cool. Like, that's how you make a world feel like really big and have interesting characters, is when even the side characters at least look and seem interesting. I don't know. I like that a lot, that it wasn't, it didn't feel like they were cool characters besides the champions from League of Legends, I thought. So,
yeah.
Obviously they were the focus, but, I mean, they went a long way to making the world feel like a world, I guess. But
Yeah.
the reason I think also, besides this just being a good show, it's like over the past decade of me watching, seeing what Riot has done with its property, it is just like, feels unprecedented in sort of a video game space. And I know that the actual games themselves aren't for everybody, but like, the content Riot has produced from this is really high quality, and I can't stress enough to people that, I mean, obviously specifically this show is a good way to show like you don't need to play the games to enjoy this stuff. Like, Riot has been doing things like this for years, that putting out quality content without having to have actually played the game. I mean, I'm really just impressed following them for the past decade of the money they put into their lore, their property, like their esports and their community. And it's really exciting to see it manifest in like this mainstream show. Okay, Wes is back. I don't have to monologue anymore.
No, it's good. It was good. Yeah, so I looked it up. I think what happens and why we don't remember it is because I think she just gets like chased by enforcers for a little bit, and then Kate shows up and shoots, or she gets, maybe it's Silco's men. I don't remember. She gets chased for a little bit, and then Kate shows up and she like shoots one of them. She's like, "Oh wow, you're a really good shot," and then they're together again, and then they go to
I will say that, so Kate's whole thing in the game is she's like a sharpshooter. Yep. Which it talks about, or it kind of mentions that in the little flashback where she's doing that competition with the old enforcer sheriff. Mm-hmm. But like, that is her like identity, is that she's a sharp shot at like kind of sheriff. Like her ultimate is that she like shoots a shot like that can lock on from super far away on a, like that's her whole thing. They don't really, I don't know, she doesn't utilize that almost at all, which I guess it's like kind of a good, like, you don't have to rely on a crutch of like the character's abilities. I guess for someone who knows it, obviously I was like expecting something to happen.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
That is interesting.
I guess it should be. I mean, part of me is just like, you know, oh, the fan service of like hinting at the video game stuff. But
yeah,
I guess if they can make compelling stories without relying on the game mechanics and stuff, that's a good thing too.
Yeah, they definitely put characters and character development first in this. Honestly, there was a moment that I thought was kind of silly a little bit later on where, because like throughout this, Jace just comes off as like he's like a serious scientist dude. And then there's a point where like he makes this cool hammer, and then he starts fighting. It's like really good at beating people up with a hammer. And I'm like, this is is clearly just from the video game.
I had the same thought, because I was like, the scene before like he's building the hammer and he's shirtless and he's shown super muscular, and I was like, are they? Which he's big and like built in the game, but like, I was like, are they showing this just because he's about to get in a fight scene and they want to imply that he's like... But I agree that all we see up to that point is Jace being a councilman and like a politician and a scientist.
Yeah.
And then it's like Jace specifically, he uses a hammer that can double, that also turns into like an energy gun.
Yeah.
In the game, but it's hard to believe that he just instantly is really good at fighting because of the hammer. But that's I don't know.
But it is, I mean, it is interesting. It's definitely a testament to like good writing. I think to like that instead of just having that character be whatever he is in the game, like he's literally a character just in. Like they built him up and they
first.
have him do things. Yeah. He's not just the hammer guy.
Yeah,
you know?
right.
Yeah. So I guess we can go. So they go to, I guess it's the worst slums or wherever. They like climb down.
I don't know if that. I wonder if they give a name to it, but they climb down, or one of them falls, I think. And they go in the super...
Oh, yeah, Vi falls because she got hurt.
Super low area.
Yeah.
Where all the junkies are in the shadows.
Yeah. This is, I think, one of the times where you see some of the worst things, I guess, that Silco does is he spreads this, like, drug, the Shimmer, like, throughout the streets, and there's some people that are really messed up by it down there. Namely the guy we saw earlier from the bar, who's like real messed up now.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those like, it's a representation of. I will say it was a little, like we talked about earlier. All we've seen of Shimmer up before then is that it's used as like a super soldier serum, like it makes you really strong and fast. But this is, you get down there and you sort of see, addicts and junkies, and I think they do a good job of, it's like scary and kind of horrifying, of what Silco's production of Shimmer has kind of done to the people down there. But yeah, they get cornered, I guess. Oh, they're in like their old house, right? Because there's like the drawings on the wall, and Vi recognizes them, and it's explaining them to Kate or something.
Ah.
But I don't remember the specifics of that scene.
Could be true.
But then, anyway, the guy turns him over to Silco, or points, right? For Shimmer. Mm-hmm. And then they bring that... they bring the whole structure down, right?
Yes.
They collapse the... I forget what it was.
Yeah, they destroy the... It says the safe house. I guess that's what it is. And then, I guess we're kind of skipping over a lot of the like development between like Silco and Jinx. Like they have a lot of little conversations and moments throughout.
Yeah.
To show their bonding. She stabs him in the eyeball.
She helps administer his.
It was a really weird scene to watch when you like don't really know like what the hell.
Yeah, so Silco has like a rotted eye, and Jace helps him administer his Shimmer, but you don't really know that that's what they're doing.
Yeah, it looks like she's just stabbing him in the eyeball.
Yeah, it's a weird little device, but you can tell though that like she trusts him. She is his lapdog, almost in a way. And that's what it appears at that time, too. Like, even though you see they're bonding, it's, like, not yet that you still, or at least I still kind of thought, like, at least from Silco's point of view, she is just a tool to him, essentially. That's kind of how I saw it, but...
Yeah, they appear to have a like... They're very close.
Yeah.
You can tell that they're very close, and the way she acts around him, I don't think he would necessarily let anybody else under his command like act in that same manner.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, he seems to care about her. But yeah, that all happens, and she's kind of. She also, there's a lot of moments where she's like up in the rafters, so she just kind of watches all of these meetings that. I don't think anybody else really knows that she's there other than Silco.
It sort of foreshadows, like, yeah, she listens in on some things. And
Yeah.
is sneaky kind of about what she's eavesdropping on.
Well, he lets her be there.
Yeah. It's not like, especially at that point, you know, she fully trusts Silco. But
yeah.
and then what?
Okay, so at this point, you know, they bash down the safe house and they escape. At this point, Jinx has a flare that she got from Vi.
I forgot we didn't. When they were kids, Vi gave her a flare.
Yeah.
That if you know, use this flare, and no matter what, I will come.
Yeah.
To you.
We're just kind of lucky that she
out of jail.
decides to use it the very day she gets out of jail.
Yeah, that'd have been a real bummer if she used it a day earlier.
Yeah.
But Jinx must have been having like a bit of a crisis. Like, why did I forget why, but there was some reason that she decided to use the flare right then. She was probably talking to herself about something. Oh, I think she got word, didn't she, about Vi being in the city or something? Because there had to have been some reason why she used the flare. I just can't remember why.
Yeah, she recently learned about Vi's return. Yeah, I think somebody... Oh! I think it was the arm lady. She comes in and talks to Silco, and she's like, Vi's out, Vi's back. And Jinx is up in the rafters when that happened.
Oh, yeah. So she was aware that Jinx at least was around. Or Vi was around.
Yeah, I guess. Okay.
That does make more sense than just like, But I guess in theory, though, still, the fact that they were both in positions that Vi had line of sight to the flare.
Yeah.
The entire Undercity.
Yeah, it's gonna be a hell of a flare for that to work. But she does go to, I guess, a really tall point up in. I don't know what that is, but she's like up in this high thing. And she uses the flare, and Vi sees it and goes and is there in a few seconds.
The whole thing is that at that time, Jinx was in possession of the Hextech refined ball.
Yes.
Which everyone was looking for.
Mm-hmm.
That's specifically what Kate was looking for. Vi didn't care. She was just trying to find Jinx.
Yeah.
But they all get up there. There's like, Jinx is happy to see Vi, but she's also wary because she's with an enforcer.
Yeah.
Kate.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some I forget the exact dialogue, but Jinx is happy to see Vi. Like, it gives her some, up to that point, we've seen kind of the psychotic, broken Jinx killing people and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, oh, wait, is Powder still there? Like, she seems to want Vi. And old boy shows up.
Yeah, well, they have like a moment. They have like a nice moment, and they like hug, and it's very sweet. And then the firelights show up and start fighting.
Yeah, it gets a little unfortunate there because it's like like the firelights show up and kind of mess everything up in a way, but I guess you find out that they're just kind of they're like the good force working in the Undercity, trying to make things right, so they wanted the Hextech ball. Yeah. But like, I think if they hadn't shown up, Kate would have just been able to take the core or the ball back to above.
I mean, they don't trust the enforcers though. Like, they know the enforcers are corrupt. But I guess if they didn't, like, that would they?
But at the same time, Echo also doesn't trust anyone else.
Yeah. Well, so Echo's not been in prison the whole time. So the whole thing about Vi is like, she doesn't know about Jinx's like reputation now, that she's kind of this monstrous character that everybody's afraid of, and she's just a straight killer. Yeah. But Echo does know that reputation. He doesn't have, like, he remembers her as a kid, but like their dynamic has very clearly changed. Like, he doesn't see her as the same person. Like, she's a monster. She needs to be stopped.
We still don't know it's Echo. We're talking as if, I mean, because it is Echo, but at the point in the show, you don't know. They almost try and paint the Fireflies to be this sort of menace, almost like you can tell they clearly have some sort of agenda, but it's not clear at this point.
Yeah, they're always seen fighting Silco and Jinx usually, so you kind of think, oh well, they're probably not bad,
right?
But yeah, they do kind of mess up this little nice moment.
Things get all fucked up, cause who ends up? Doesn't Jinx end up just with it? Who ends up with the ball after all the chaos? Or do the Fireflies?
I believe the Fireflies end up with it. They end up with it, right? Because Kate has it, and then Jinx steals it later from at the bridge.
Yeah, I think
Steals it back. Yeah.
It's all it's all running.
It's just a little MacGuffin. I don't know. The ball matters that much.
I mean, it ends up mattering a lot. It is weird though at the time because it's not clear. Like besides the little demonstration they do for Heimerdinger, it's like, why is it so important? Like, I mean, I guess the idea is supposed to be that it's like almost like a nuclear level device, but we're also unclear of what Jinx is capable of utilizing it for until the final moment, really. But yeah, I guess you're right. It's kind of like just blue ball MacGuffin.
Yeah, it's just like everybody wants it. Nobody can have it. So yeah, they get kidnapped, and we go into the next episode. I remember if there's anything we missed because this will be Act 3 that we're in now. Is there anything we missed from Act 2?
I'm sure we missed some things, but I don't know. That's okay. If it's stuff that we don't remember, it's okay.
We learn that Victor, as a boy, met Singed.
Yeah.
It was his mentor, apparently. It taught him a bunch of cool shit. We also learned that I don't know if we knew this before, but Victor is from the Undercity. He's not from the...
It may have casually mentioned it, but this is like the first flashback we have of Victor.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a cool scene too because it explains where Shimmer comes from, and how not evil, but just it gives insight into Singe's character, which maybe he'll be bigger in next season or something. But the fact that it's like you feed a certain plant to this mutated lizard, and then he extracts the Shimmer from it.
Yeah.
Is like kind of horror. You don't realize that at first because Victor's like helping him as a kid, like with gather the plant and stuff.
Yeah.
And then when Victor realizes what's going on, that he's basically like extracting the stuff from the lizard and just wants to keep it alive purely as a way to harvest Shimmer.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's kind of horrifying. But
yeah.
So we see that.
Yeah. So that made me kind of question, I guess, what Victor's motivation was. Like, is he a bad guy who's working for this guy? I don't think so. I don't know if he's like purely motivated by just like fixing his illness, or I think it's partly like that's part of it, but I think he's just a good person, just a good guy. He just wants to help.
I think he's he's a good guy, but I think he's mostly driven by like, I mean, it's more intense than this, but like curiosity. Like he obviously, I think that's flashback with Singe when he was a kid. Shows that he does have like a good moral compass in a way of how he ran away from that. But the scenes we see with Jace, it's like he seems mostly focused on like innovation, progress, figuring things out, especially the hex core when he creates that. But you do get the impression that he's like a good guy, you know?
Yeah.
Even in the midst of like him crying over his, you know, when he kills his friend by accident.
Right, by accident.
You can tell that, you know, messed him up.
Yeah.
He mostly wants to. I mean, I think this we may have also already found out. I can't remember when we find out, but that Victor has like his illness is he's gonna die fairly soon from it, and so Jace and him are kind of trying to figure out a way to cure him or fix him. Using the hex core that was created.
Yeah.
Which doesn't really explain anything about the hex core much.
Right.
But
Yeah, well, he at one point starts coughing blood, and then it like absorbs or interacts with the blood in some way,
Yeah.
implying something. And then
the hex core has a lot. I'll just say it has a lot to do with like integrating organic matter, kind of.
okay, yeah,
It's not exactly it, but that's why the blood sort of triggered, I think, the core.
yeah. So I don't remember if this was later, but basically, Jace ends up enacting like he tells people that they can't go into the Undercity. He makes a blockade, and Victor ends up breaking that to go visit Singed again in the future.
Because he feels lost with
Yeah.
trying to figure out cure his illness, basically.
Yeah. And so he gets the idea from Singed. He's like, he tells him, oh, it needs organic matter or something in order to work. So you gotta feed it things and whatever. I don't know. It's gotta interact. No, he tells him that like it doesn't want to. Like people, it won't work with people because they might resist it. Like they don't want to be changed by whatever it is.
He recommended him though inject Shimmer before he uses it.
Yeah.
But you're right. He does say stuff like that. Like it needs to integrate with organic matter, but living matter will resist it or something. And he said, I don't know how that really connects to Shimmer actually helping it, but
yeah,
he just says like use this before or something. Okay, thanks. Then it's supposed to be like the potions master, evil scientist, but
so then he does that, and
it like cures his leg. That was weird. I don't know what. So it turns his leg into like what material was that? Was that supposed to be metal? Like it just looks like a tree trunk. Like, it looks like wood to me, but I know it's not wood. But I was a little confused as to what was going on there. But
it's very hard to tell yet.
It's probably also more confusing to me because of what I know about League of Legends, and I'm like, where are they going with this? But yeah, so he uses it, and it seemingly cures his leg. And then does he do it to another part of his body as well?
One of his hands, just like to his like forearm, middle of his forearm, gets meddled it as well.
Yeah, something happens to it.
Something happened.
And we assume it's cured, but it doesn't look good. Like if someone saw it, they'd be like, "Is your leg rotting?" Like what
the fuck?
So
yeah,
but we're supposed to be under the assumption that it's helping, I think.
Yeah. They organize this a little weird because I think like they show him like running on a beach with his new metal thing, but then the next time we see him, it's just him in that scene again, like touching the thing before he has the metal. So we see that early on before it actually happens, and then we flash back to that scene several times before it actually happens. And that's like the last we see of Victor, I think, is.
And when so they do kind of, I think the episode before it happens, or at some point, his assistant and his childhood friend or something is like trying to get him to ask him out to dinner.
Yeah.
She was asking him to hang out after work, and he's just like, it's a giga chat, and it's just like, no, begone thought. Like like she'd asked me like 3 times. It's just like, no, I got to keep working and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So, but it's clear that she like seemingly, I mean, has some sort of like romantic interest in him, I think is the implication. And then we see her walking towards his room while he is preparing to do another like hex core experiment with to fix himself. Yeah. And is she reading a love letter or what that she wrote?
She's like practicing. I guess it was a love letter because he does like read it after the fact.
Yeah, maybe she was rehearsing it. Like she had it written down to rehearse it or something. But she's gonna tell his feelings for him. She walks in, sees him struggling with the hex core, which
he's like touching it.
Yeah, he may not have even like. I mean, it's unfortunate because she didn't know what was going on. But like, it was the same thing that happened the other times he used it, more or less.
Yeah.
So he probably would have been fine ultimately. But
Yeah.
She runs in, and I guess not having Shimmer injected in her makes her susceptible to being hurt by the hex cord. You know, it basically, because she's organic matter, like it's sucking her life force out, or it turns her to dust.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I don't know exactly the mechanics of,
It turns to ash.
but she doesn't have Shimmer.
Yeah, it's confusing. I guess we'll maybe find out in the second season. But it's not until like after that happens where he just immediately gets the metal leg and the metal arm. So I don't know if there's some connection between like him, like maybe he absorbed something from her, like her soul or something, and that's
And
what.
specifically that time, the hex core changes forms completely, like
Yeah,
permanently.
yeah, yeah. It
which
turns into a weird.
We don't know what, like, I mean, obviously it was because she was there and got either absorbed or had some effect on the core. It changes the structure of it to creepier kind of
to
look.
like a creepy kind of structure.
But that's all. I mean, it's gonna have to go into it more in season 2, which is already confirmed.
We see a little bit of interaction with it, which is because at one point he's like, "I'm gonna destroy this thing," and he's like going to destroy it, and then it almost like seems to like be scared.
He has a connection with it somehow.
Yeah,
is what we see, and he can't bring himself to hit it with a chair. Which, to be honest, after seeing the things that this thing can do, his first thought was, "I'm going to bash it over the head with a chair. That should work. This
It'll
is
work."
an unknown magical force that just had the ability to turn someone to ash.
Yeah.
Yes, this wooden chair, it will destroy it."
Yeah. But I got the impression that maybe it was alive almost in the way that it was interacting, because it seemed scared, and then it also kind of like when he's walking away, it like zaps him a little bit. It's like, and he's like, "Ow."
No comment.
Okay.
I will not say
Do
anything.
you have a comment that would be relevant?
You're onto something, I guess is what I should say.
Okay. All right then.
So that's sort of the end of. I think the only other thing we see with Victor really is we're kind of doing this stuff out of order, but I'm almost preferring going on like the character arcs as opposed to
Yeah, it's easier.
specifically the show. He does ask. Wait, didn't he? At some point he was going to commit suicide, or he contemplates it because a really cool scene that I like just from a directing, like how the camera shots are done. He's sitting on like an edge, and there's like gears moving behind him, or like some big thing, like machinery moving, and you see him. He like stands up, and it's just looking at his feet, and then you see him like take a step close to the edge and start putting his foot off. But Jace shows up behind him to talk to him, but the camera flips, and it's like there's silhouettes, and the machinery is still moving, and it like is going in and out of the silhouette shot, and it was so good that I was like damn, like animation, like I forget about that sometimes, that even cinematographic shots in animation and like this clever camera placement, quote unquote camera placement, like perspective, I guess, can be really well done. But yeah, basically Jace, I don't think Jace realized that he was about to step off the ledge, but Jace kind of stops him by talking to him, like, "Oh, what are you doing down here?" or something. And I think Victor says he needs help. He needs Jace to destroy the hex core because he can't bring himself to do it. But I think that's basically the end of Victor's involvement in the show.
Yeah, I guess there's also the fact that he didn't want, like, Jace starts to change and decide that maybe they should wage a war on the Undercity. Victor seems very against that. He doesn't want them to be used for weapons at all. So I think that puts a wedge between them a little bit.
Right. Well, because there's some interaction between them where Jace insults the Undercity, and Victor reminds him, "Hey, I'm from the Undercity," which then comes up. But then, like, Jace defends him again in front of the council when they're deciding that. You know, it's like, there are good people from the inner city or something, and the camera pans to Victor. But
Yeah.
yeah, I overall really liked Victor's sort of story. I know, like as far as development goes, it's not that he changes all that much, but it's like an interesting like little character story. Like, I don't know, seeing him grow up in the Undercity, like, you know, having something like Singed as his mentor, and then, you know, working with Jace, discovering Hex Tech, trying to cure himself, just creating the Hex Core. I don't know. He's a cool character, and I'm excited to see season 2 of him specifically, just because there's so much potential with that character.
Yeah. Yeah, same. Yeah, I do wonder where they're going. I guess he's got like metal arm, metal legs. I don't know what else they're gonna change about him, if that's like the final development of this. Because you said he's a character in the League of Legends lore, so maybe there's gonna be more to. I guess I don't know what's gonna happen. But yeah, I do really like his character. He's very. You really feel for him.
He's likable, and he never really has a moment where you're like you feel like he made a. I mean, obviously he has the problem with the Hex Core and how he probably shouldn't be feeding it, and people like warn him. Heimerdinger, I think, specifically warns him. But like, he's a very likable character. You know, like, he has a lot of sad stuff happen to him. He has, unfortunately, a terminal illness. He kills his childhood friend who also was in love with him. I mean, I guess he doesn't kill her, but he inadvertently causes her death. I don't know. Just very, very likable character. Excited to see what they do with him.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess should we go into? I guess with Jace, I think easier to sort of turn over to him. So like his whole thing was like he's battling with the idea of whether or not they should go to war. He kind of goes back and forth on this.
Jace is probably, as far as the main characters go, he might be, like, he still has a lot of cool aspects to him, but might be my least favorite, just because I feel like he flip-flops, and like he just is so. It seems like every decision he made was just because like someone else like influenced, not like maliciously influenced him, but like he'll go have a discussion with someone, they or like guide him in a direction or like give him advice, and he's like, that's what I did. Or, you know, I don't know. I felt like it's like he just kept flip flopping on everything, but I mean, he's still, I don't know. He's sort of he's very important to the show because he makes like all the key decisions for Piltover, basically. Yeah. But yeah, so up to that point, did we talk about how they voted Heimerdinger out? I don't know that we have.
We mentioned it a few times. We didn't really
Heimerdinger was supposed to be Jace's kind of mentor or whatever, and then it hits a point where, as far as the Hex Tech stuff goes, the council, they ended up convincing everyone that Heimerdinger was holding them back, so they all vote Heimerdinger off the council. So he's no longer has any power or authority in the city. Yeah.
Well, I mean, Jace is able to like get all of the other council members on his side.
Yeah.
In order to get that to happen, like none of them look like they really want to do it, but they're like, okay.
But it was also like, it's weird. Mel sort of influences him as well. I was confused. Like, I thought her character was like gonna be, and I guess she is a little bit like kind of the snake in the grass character, where she was trying to seduce and like just have Jace be a puppet of what she wanted.
Yeah.
And it seems like it starts out that way at the behest, like she's doing it for her mother. But eventually she develops feelings for Jace. And kind of rebels against her mother. So
yeah, I was kind of confused. Those two characters, Jason and Mel, I was very confused about what exactly they wanted. I get that Mel's like kind of like rebelling against her mother, who is very like all about war and
Well, she wasn't
battle.
at first though. Like I mean, that's what I mean is I think originally she was trying to control Jace to have more power to serve her mother, but then she ends up I think what's supposed to be like happening is that she ends up caring about Jace, the person she was supposed to be seducing and controlling. And so when her mother comes and is so like uncaring about Jace or even wants him to fail or whatever, Mel lashes back and rebels.
Well, from that scene, I mean, the mother, they talk about how she was exiled from the family for being too soft. And so she's like not, as far as I understood it, she wasn't a part of that family anymore, and she doesn't like even before the mother
like,
shows up.
I don't mean like she's like strategically planted by the mother and like I mean more of like it's she was trying to impress or like she was doing it because she got excommunicated. You know what I mean? Like she wants to be back part of the family up until the point that the mother comes back and then she realizes all the reasons why she hates her or whatever. That's the way I took it, was that Mel was initially trying to serve her country even though she had been exiled. She wanted to like work her way back in.
I see.
And then when her mother comes back, she's like, oh no, like I don't want to be a part of this. That's the way I took it, because she seems very like I 100% got the feeling that she was just trying to control Jace. And
it did feel that way, yeah.
And then eventually, at some point, she cares about him. But the other thing is, like the mother clearly, when she comes back, she sort of expects Mel to work with her.
I guess.
Because she's like, she keeps talking about we're doing this for the family, blah blah blah, and that's when
that's
Mel
her,
eventually says, like I was exiled, like you can't. But I feel like at first she was trying to, I don't know. Maybe
the mother, like when she makes this big confession, she comes back and she's like, she mentions that Mel's the one that made her soft. That like now she cares about family and shit, even though she didn't want to before. So it's like a new development for her to care.
Yeah, but Mel doesn't believe her. Right?
I don't know. Does she?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I think that's going to be a big part of season 2, though, because they mention Noxus a few times. You may have heard that word. It's
nope.
It's another nation.
Oh, okay.
It's when Mel's mom, I think, is the one. She mentions it a couple times.
Oh, okay.
But it's another nation in the lore, and it's like the evil nation.
Oh, the Fire Nation.
Yes, basically. So she mentions that a very powerful man of Noxus killed your brother or something. I was like, ooh, who could it be?
Oh, yeah.
But I think that I wasn't like all the politics stuff. I wasn't like, I didn't 100% follow just like specific people's motivation. And to me, Jace just like, did Jace ever make like a decision on his own? It's like every decision, every choice he came across, he struggled with. Someone like gave him advice, and then he just did what the advice said.
Yeah.
And it was like, Jace, what do you stand for?
That's why he's really hard to pin down, and he does it in such a like a reckless way. Like somebody gives him an idea, and then he like kind of goes out of his way to make sure that he does that thing that somebody like. He just takes suggestions, and then he just like is convinced immediately.
Vi is like, we should go to you're a counselor, the highest basically position in the city.
Yeah.
Hey, let's go to Silco's things personally and destroy his shimmer supply. Mm-hmm. And then
he's like, sure.
And then he ends up killing a child, and he's like, oh my god, I can't do this. It's like, what do you think is gonna happen? Like, you gotta personally kill people? Like,
yeah.
I don't know. Jace's decisions and stuff was a little. I was much less interesting to me than all the other characters basically. But
Yeah. It's hard to really figure out what it was about. But yeah, I guess that's. Does he do any? I guess okay. The final thing is like he's in the council room with everybody else.
Yeah.
That's when. I don't know if we should skip ahead of that or we should go to somebody else. Should we go to?
I mean, we can. Let's talk about. Let's just say Vi and Jinx for last. Let's talk about and Kate. Let's talk about Echo.
Okay. Well, I mean, Vi and Kate get captured by the fireflies.
Yes, the firelights. I think it's
Right.
firelights or fireflies. I don't know.
Flame
Shit.
firelights. Yes. They get captured and kidnapped and tortured.
What did you think of that scene when Echo reveals himself to Vi?
It was really sweet how she kind of just treated him like she would when they were kids, and she like hugs him and he hugs her back and
Yeah, I liked because like you can tell Echo has seen some shit and he's like battle hardened kind of, and he, is clearly you kind of expect like, oh, like he should be happy to see Vi, like they were childhood friends, but he has like this huge guard up.
yeah.
But then she's handcuffed too.
Yeah. Well, he's also not sure because he sees her with an enforcer. He's not sure if she's working with Chinks and the enforcers.
But like any pretense, it seems, about them knowing each other, like he doesn't care. It seems, and she's handcuffed, and then she picks the handcuffs and gives him a big hug.
Yeah.
And that's when I don't know. It was just sweet because Vi obviously had no intention of going against him or escaping or hitting him or anything. Immediately hugs him. Echo accepts the hug and you see tears. I really, I don't know. I like that moment a lot.
Yeah, it's very sweet. Very nice character moment.
But yeah, so you kind of learn a little bit more about what the Fireflies are about. They're kind of the good force of the Undercity.
Yeah, they made like a tree.
They got
land.
life to start growing in the Undercity. Did they explain
like
how? Or?
A happy tree land? I don't know.
I thought they may have.
That was a whole big mystery to me. I'm like, so it's closed off to only certain people, I guess. I don't know how they pick or choose.
It's supposed to be hidden. Like it's a hidden area of the Undercity.
Yeah, and there's a tree there, and they have cool skateboards.
Yeah.
And but I guess like they're still out in the Undercity, like doing stuff. So they're obviously not just hiding there. So they must have some other ulterior motive, like trying to.
Yeah, it's it's supposed. They don't go into specifics, I guess, but the idea is like the Undercity is known for like its thievery, roguery, whatever, and this is supposed to be like community and like we're good to people or something, but they don't like specifically say what their goal is or what he would have done with the hex. Like, does he explicitly say like why they wanted the hex tech ball? Like, what would he utilize it for? Energy or
I don't know.
I don't know, but like
it's not clear.
they're just, I don't know. They're supposed to be like a mysterious force at first, and then it gets revealed that it's Echo sort of fighting against Silco in the underground.
Yeah.
I guess Echo doesn't have too much of a arc because like you don't really. He's of the characters while they're kids. You don't really get much. Like he's more of a side character. I mean,
yeah.
You don't learn much about him. He's just kind of mentioned. He gives him the tip. He's kind of in the side all the time. And then he shows up kind of as a surprise as the Fireflies leader, whatever. Firelight, I think. I don't know.
Firelight.
He's the leader.
Yes.
But you still don't really learn too much about him other than he's seen some shit and he's trying to fix things in the Undercity. But
yeah,
he has the super cool scene like we talked about before with the fight on the bridge.
Oh yeah.
With Jinx.
Oh yeah.
That
was dope.
But other than that, I mean, what is anything else you want to say about Echo?
Well, there's a scene later where he brings Heimerdinger in and shows him the city. And Heimerdinger's like, that's pretty cool, man.
Heimerdinger walks through the Undercity, and it's like, he sees all the addicts, and I think he gets like, yelled at or stuff.
Yeah,
like
he shows like a
tells-
magic trick to a little girl, and then
oh,
the mom comes
don't
out.
talk-
Like,
yeah, but then he gets, he comes across Echo, who's hurt after his fight. Echo shows him the base. He recognized, he knew who Heimerdinger was.
Yeah.
Because he's like he was for the longest time the elder of the city, but
yeah.
shows him the base, and Heimer's like, oh, this is cool,
man.
but
sweet, dude.
again, we don't know really.
Yeah, it's clearly a setup for something, but we don't know what it is
Yeah.
yet.
But that's pretty much it for Echo. I think.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, without
I like
talking more about Jinx, I think.
Echo as a design, and I'm excited for what they do season 2, just because kind of what we talked about earlier. I think they'll delve into the time thing. I don't know that it was ever explicitly explained in the game lore,
Yeah.
but clearly it has something to do with that watch.
Yeah.
Don't know.
Don't know. It wasn't. I don't remember that being a thing in like his kid years, that he had like a cool watch that he found. I don't remember anything like that.
Yeah, so I mean, they'll explain that, I'm sure.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, they end up letting them out, and then, oh yeah, they're traveling across the bridge, which the bridge looks weirdly like London Bridge. I noticed, not important detail, but it looks very much like the London Bridge.
It looks like, I don't mean to correct you, but it looks like Tower Bridge.
Shit.
Actually.
No.
London Bridge is
That's
very
it.
unassuming and normal looking bridge, about
Fuck.
2 bridges over from Tower Bridge. I can't believe,
No.
Wes, your ancestors.
My ancestors. Looking down
but no,
on
it does have that same exact design.
Shit. Yeah, it does look like it.
A lot of explosions happen on that bridge.
Oh yeah.
The little fireflies.
Yeah. The fireflies are not from the Firefly people.
I thought that was confusing. Like, I really thought that was a fire. Like, their name. Like, why is that Jinx's thing? I get that they're little tinker creature, like they're little engineering marvels, but I don't know.
Maybe it's just something to catch Echo off guard for some reason. He thinks, oh, it's my
because
fireflies.
Vi does make a comment a couple scenes before while they're walking through, maybe the scene before. She's like, because Kate asked what they are.
Yeah.
And she's like, we always called them firelights. But there's way more than, I've never seen this many.
Yeah.
It's like
it's so they don't suspect that they're anything.
Yeah, she comments that there's way more, because I guess a bunch of them were little machines instead of actual. So it's like,
Yeah.
can you not tell? Well, anyway, but
well,
Jinx ambushes them.
yeah, there's a weird kind of dynamic here with Jinx kind of being jealous of
she thinks
Vi and Kate's relationship.
Vi has replaced Jinx with Kate.
Yeah.
basically.
Which is odd. I don't know. I don't know if that plays super well, because it doesn't really make that much sense for her to be. I don't know. I guess.
Well, Vi just I mean, Jinx is already messed up, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, a lot of her stuff is like self-inflicted, like making things like appear like she's not really seeing reality, I think, in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I just feel like this is like an especially kind of a stretch to make an issue out of something, you know?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I think you could lean on the abandonment thing.
Yeah.
She feels like she claims she's no longer her sister, and I get what you're saying, though. It's not 100% clear, but that's how they play it, is Jinx. It's not even that she specifically, I mean, obviously Kate's an enforcer, but clearly the hate comes because Kate is with Vi, you know, and she sees that they have some sort of partnership or are together or something.
Yeah, so she's like watching during this scene, and she says something like, oh, don't worry, it's just a goodbye hug, which it was. I don't know what else it would have been, just a hello hug. So she starts walking away, but I don't know why she would be upset about it. Like, the things she thinks Uh, like I kind of got I guess I was kind of like she's worried that Vi is not gonna come back for her or is not gonna like come try to find her or something, which is entirely untrue. And you know she sees her leave and starts walking away, and then she's already set up this trap like which is like she's attacking the enforcer. She's trying to get the ball back, I guess, is the whole thing she's doing here.
Yeah, it got a little muddied for me there because, yeah, Marcus, who has been blackmailed by Silco,
yes,
shows up to stop Vi and Kate from returning with the ball.
Yes.
Then Jinx blows up the fireflies.
Yeah, I think she was doing this. I don't think she like was doing this with the like by order from Silco. I think this was just something she was doing.
Yeah, I would agree.
So the plan, I guess, was Marcus was probably gonna try to get the blue ball back. And so she just shows up as this chaotic element and just blows everybody up.
Yes.
And everybody dies except for all the three main characters.
I mean, Marcus dies.
Yep.
And the enforcers with him die. Vi, Caitlyn gets injured. She gets shrapnel in her leg.
Yeah.
And Vi helps her to limp away. Jinx comes back.
Yeah.
To stop them, but then Echo shows up, right?
Yeah. I'm trying to
right?
remember the like. I can see it in my head. Okay, so she shows up. She starts walking, and then what is she? Does she shoot at them or does she throw something at them? I can't remember.
But I remember. Echo. She shoots him in the chest, but he has that armor on. Is that the scene?
That's a different scene. No, but I'm thinking before they start fighting, because they're like, Vi and Kate are like, you know, Vi is like propping up Kate,
yeah.
And then like I can't remember what happens, but she like shoots something at them, and then they like split apart, and then Echo comes down, and then they start fighting. I think something like that. I don't remember, but
it sounds right. But in the end, basically, Caitlyn and Vi get away thinking they have the blue ball, but they don't.
They don't. No.
And Echo gets to Jinx and hits her, but then Jinx uses a grenade right next to herself that hurts Echo, but somehow doesn't completely obliterate Jace because she has plot armor. Doesn't completely obliterate Jinx because she has plot armor. I guess like the grenade was right.
She does die.
Well, I mean, not completely.
I think actually, I don't know. I think they were saying like she's dead.
Well, Singe says I can still save her or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think she was like barely alive, and the shimmer was used only because she was still barely alive. I don't know.
Yeah. But
let's just say the grenade goes off and she has some soot on her face. That's one part I was just like, really? Like a grenade goes off right next to you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's as bad as James Bond, right? Like they did that in James Bond.
Yeah.
So Echo, essentially, she explodes herself to beat Echo,
and
then Silco comes, and you find out that she still had the ball, that Kate and Vi did not actually have the.
No, she got it back.
So Silco is back in possession of the MacGuffin.
Yes.
Yeah. Then we see.
Well,
Jinx gets saved by Singe. They pump a bunch of. It's kind of
there
weird.
Was actually.
Like, oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say there was kind of a moment that Echo has with Jinx a little bit because he's like about to kill her, and then he like sees her face and he's like, oh, I can't kill you. You're my friend.
Yeah,
it was very sweet.
Echo's a good guy.
Yeah.
Jinx wouldn't have hesitated. She did.
She's unhinged.
She let a bomb go. Yeah, she's a little more unhinged than Echo, I guess.
She's killed a lot of people. I don't think she feels much at all towards Echo. I don't think she has any.
Yeah, I don't think she even like.
Would not even remember him.
Right. The scene where Singe saves Jinx with the shimmer was, I thought, a little strange. Like,
yes,
he puts Silco to sleep because he didn't want him to see how painful this was gonna be for Jinx or something. Like, it's just weird how it was set up, and then it's like, oh, he didn't do anything horrific. He just put shimmer in her butt. Like, why could Silco not watch that? Like, was it because she was screaming in pain? I don't. I was like, it just seemed weird how obviously they were trying to do a twist. Like, Jinx gets the syringe filled.
Yeah.
Oh, and then he put it in Silco's neck instead of Jinx's. Oh my gosh, and knocked him out. What's he gonna do? And then it was like, oh, he did the same thing Singed has done the rest of the entire series. He gave somebody shimmer.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it did look painful. She's screaming a bit.
It turned her eyes more permanently.
Kind of a little purple.
Purple.
I definitely expected there was going to be a far more drastic physical change. I guess maybe because you know the character, probably whatever it looks like currently in the game is probably how it's just going to look. But I definitely was like, what's going to happen? Is she going to have like a robot eye?
The big change was just her eyes becoming the color. Like, I think her eyes were already like... Maybe I have to. I don't remember what it was.
Eyes.
But then, yeah, her eyes in the game are that color. But it's
kind of purplish.
I think it was just her design. I don't think they made it in the game because of the shimmer. But there was like the shimmer in the show will change her eyes to that color.
Change her eyes slightly purple. It looks more dramatic when you like see at the end of one of the episode 8. She goes and kidnaps Caitlyn. And like you just see her in the background, she's got you just see her like eye kind of purple.
Yeah.
That's why I kind of thought like, oh, she got like a robot eye now. It's like,
No,
but it's just her eyes are just slightly more purple
that's
now.
That's what the shimmer did. Actually, Singe didn't even. It's not the shimmer that saved her. He did some operation, and he was like, "Oh, I want to change her eye color," so he just put the shimmer in there.
This will look way more cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so yeah, he saves her, and then Caitlyn and Vi go back to Caitlyn's house, right?
Caitlyn and Vi, yeah, and they have a little
and the
moment.
mom, the posh mom, is offended by, not offended, but oh my gosh, this hoodlum is in my house or whatever.
Yeah, and then they talk and they chat, and then they decide that they're gonna go in front of the council and try to convince them to take down, prove that Silco's up to no good by showing him the they don't have the sphere, right?
I think they go because they're basically saying something needs to be done, and this is where Vi convinces Jace to attack the Shimmer production with her.
Yeah, against the council's wishes.
Which Jace immediately regrets because he kills a kid.
Yeah. He didn't. Yeah.
But so yeah, that leads to them going and attacking the Shimmer production, which. Obviously, Jace is horrified by killing a kid. Vi's like, hey, like, this is what's gonna happen.
This is war.
This is war, man.
You gotta get with the program, man.
So Jace backs out of doing that anymore. Where Vi's like, I'm gonna keep doing this.
I'm gonna continue to do this.
It also plays into this whole time. There's been little scenes of the crime lords of the Undercity, like that are under Silco, are starting to be unhappy with Silco and how he's running things and things that are happening.
Yeah.
So they're kind of, it's implying that they're gonna there's gonna be a mutiny. They're gonna rebel against Silco, and then it culminates in. You think that his right hand man, the arm girl, is gonna betray him.
Yeah.
But I think he wasn't even sure. Because
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of neat. Like,
Yeah.
you lead up to a point where the little coup is happening, and you think that she's gonna cut his head off because she puts the sword out, and instead she kills the guy across the seat from him that was threatening him.
Yeah.
Right over his head, and he's like, "Did you think about it or something?" I forget,
Yeah. Well, you can see he's
also
he's like
shaking.
panting.
Yeah.
As if he was like freaked out. I thought that was a great touch. That's like,
Yeah.
show that he's actually wasn't sure if she was gonna do it or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, he makes a cool line about loyalty. It wouldn't have been as cool a line to talk about loyalty if he just got killed.
If he got killed, yeah.
Yeah.
So Silco, this is like around the time when.
Actually, I'm gonna go to the bathroom again.
Okay.
Sorry.
Welcome to our stream is sponsored today by Mountain Dew Amp Cherry Blast. It's a cherry flavored energy drink with other natural flavors. Do the do. You can check it out at Wes and Shriver talk about things /do. Oh God, I hope Wes cuts this part out. I'm getting nervous. Hope Wes hurries up. Again, if you're watching it, obviously I would hope you have seen the series before making it this far into the podcast, but do yourself a favor and watch it. It's really good, even if you have no connection to League of Legends or Riot or anything about it. It's just a good show and stands on its own. Wes, I hope you cut these parts out because, my God, it's this bad. I did a plug for Mountain Dew while you were gone.
Well, I have to leave it in now for the context of that statement. Yeah.
Cut that statement out, dude.
No. I wanted to mention. This is where she gets her cool little gauntlets.
Yeah.
She loses one of them. Does she have both in the game, or does she? Just
I thought that maybe. I was like, why did she lose one? I mean, one breaks, but she has both. So I don't know.
I did write down a note. They were called the Atlas gauntlets.
Yes.
Which, Atlas. I mean, it refers to a Greek figure.
Yes.
Does this Greek figure exist in?
No, I don't think so.
Oh.
But in the game, I mean, yeah, it's weird that it references essentially Greek mythology.
I mean, yeah, it comes from a video game, so it's just like, what do they call it? It's a cool name.
Yeah.
I don't have to care about it.
But
I just thought it was funny.
They're used for mining, but yeah, it's also kind of I guess the weapon that Vander uses with like these fist gauntlet things, way back in the day, and then Vi uses them back when she was younger a little bit, and so obviously if you know the game, you would know that she eventually gets like these gauntlets that she punches with, but yeah, she gets them from Jace. More or less, she kind of just takes them.
Yeah, she just takes them.
And then, yeah, so that's...
He asks for him back. She's like, no. And he's like, I'm going to shoot you if you don't give it back. And she's like, no. And then he's just like, whatever.
Okay. I'm not actually going to shoot you, I guess.
Whatever then.
So, yeah, so those are her signature, like her whole character is designed around her just punching things.
Yeah, she's cool.
Yeah, it was nice to see her. I mean, it was the same with like the whole time. Like Jace's whole identity in the game is about the hammer. So I was like, they're going to show that hammer at some point. And so I knew they were going to show Vi's gauntlets. They basically from the beginning show Jinx's like Gatling gun and then eventually the rocket launcher.
Do they?
Yeah, that gun she has.
She doesn't have it as a kid, right?
No, I mean, when she turned into Jinx.
Right.
Like that first scene that she shows back up, she has it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't see Kate's, like... You see her use a rifle.
She shoots a gun at some point.
But I wonder... I can't remember what her, like, rifle design is like. But it's more than just a normal Enforcer rifle, I think. Anyway, Yeah, you see Vi get her gauntlets.
Uh-huh.
Where were we at after? Because we already talked about. Oh, I was saying before you left. I was saying we start to see Silco, like you start to get the idea that maybe he is like in his own way trying to do what's best for the Undercity, even if it's like through criminal means. And I think, because he shows up in a scene where he's talking to Jace at around this time, episode 8 or 9, and they mention that he wants Zahn to be independent, and Jace says, like, they end up agreeing on the condition that Silco gives up Jinx.
Yeah.
And I was kind of expecting Silco to be like, yeah, sure. And you even
Really?
see I like at that point I kind of just felt like I was like, oh, I mean I just was leaning more towards him still being a bad guy, even though the clues were already there that he had some affection, and like that would be a tough decision. And then you see it even more when, well, Jinx overhears him talking about it, but she gets the impression that he's going to give her up. So obviously that makes her very conflicted. It's another abandonment thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're starting to see Silco a little differently than just purely a haha, I'm evil drug lord. He has like a goal, like he wants Zahn to be independent.
Yeah. He's a good character. He's a good villain, like I said. Developed well. You understand his motivations, where he's coming from. He's not, because I think bad villains are where they're just bad and they do bad things. It's like when you write a good villain, they're a character and like they do stuff that makes sense. Like they want something, that is like, because I mean most people like aren't just inherently evil. They do things because of
they have
motivations.
Yeah.
Generally because of people, like relationships with people and like how they feel. And so he's good. And I didn't think he was gonna give up Jinx. I was like, no, there's no way. Like they just have a relationship. Fatherly. He feels very fatherly towards her. You can sort of get that vibe throughout. It's like he even calls her like his daughter at several points. So I didn't think he would, yeah. And he says he wasn't going to.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I thought that he would end up doing it, but like not easy. Like I thought it would be difficult for him, but that ultimately he
okay,
wanted,
yeah,
like I thought it would.
I could see that.
His want for an independent Zahn would, he'd be like, this is the sacrifice I have to make.
Right.
Whereas at the beginning of the series, I would have thought, yeah, he doesn't care about Jinx, but you end up, like, I would have thought it would have been a tough decision.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I still would have thought he'd go through with it. But we end up finding out that no, he never planned on giving her up, which is, I thought it was a nice touch that, I mean, he was willing to save her for basically what we find out was his ultimate dream all along, was to gain independence for the Undercity.
Yeah.
But he would not give up Jinx to accomplish that, which...
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting how that all kind of plays out, because he's like, he makes that deal, and then Jace immediately goes to the council and says, we made this deal, Zahn's independent, and they vote on it. Even though they haven't given up Jinx yet. They're just
yeah, that's true. I guess they were voting on whether they would, yeah, that is kind of weird.
Yeah.
But I guess it was, Jace said it's contingent on you giving us Jinx. So I guess that means it's really not in effect until that part comes through. But
yeah, and I guess it's for the drama of the...
That they're doing the vote at the same time Jinx is shooting the missile.
Yeah. So, yeah, I wonder what that all... Well, should we... Okay.
This is I think the one other scene to talk about is Vi, Kate, Jinx, and Silco all together.
Yeah.
Basically, Jinx has set this all up to where she wants Vi to pick who she is,
Mm-hmm.
and then she tells Vi, you know, if you want me to be Powder, you have to kill Caitlyn. I think is that how that went down?
Yeah, that's basically it. I believe that was.
And
the...
Silco's there, and obviously at this point, Jinx thinks he was willing to give her up, or was going to give her up.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess how does that happen? Kate gets out of her binding because of the glass, so Jinx's gun gets on the table. Silco
she
goes
shoots the gun at her, tells her to drop her little pistol that she has.
Yeah, and Silco goes for the gun to then shoot Vi, and all this while Jinx is like in a manic episode, freaking out and having hallucinate, like the things pop up, and Silco goes for the gun real quick, but she turns really quick and mows him down, kills him, shoots him.
Yeah, what happens is Jinx uses some sort of ability, I guess, that we find out she now has, that she's super fast or something. So she.
I think it's because of the shimmer. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's able to take the Gatling gun, back from Kate pretty easily by moving really fast
and hitting her.
That's
how shimmer works, I guess.
I guess that's the only thing that we see that has done, I guess, for her. It's cool.
Besides her eyes.
Yeah, it's cool, but yeah. And so yeah, he's about to shoot Vi, and then she mows him down with the gun that she took.
She kind of, but she does, like, it's almost reactionary, because then when she realizes she shoots him, you can tell she like regrets it or whatever, runs over to him, where with his dying breath he says, like, I was never going to give you up, or whatever.
Never gonna let you down.
Never gonna run around hurt you. So
this whole video is just a Rickroll.
Yeah. So once again, Jinx has yet another traumatic experience where
she has a rough time in this show.
She was wrong and killed her second father figure, even though he wasn't going to give her up.
She did kill both of her father figures.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, she is a very tragic. I mean, it's harder to feel like you still feel for her because you know she's clearly like mentally broken and stuff, but she does terrible things. But you still feel bad. Like when she kills Silco, you're like, oh, like she's under the impression he was going to betray her, but he wasn't. Yeah,
it helps that you still see that like scared, inferior little girl in her.
She shines. Yeah, the like that personality like comes through on occasion. Yeah,
it makes you really feel bad for her, and like
even though she's murdered countless people, you're like, she's not there's major problems going on there.
Yeah. She's got a lot of trauma.
But then, after realizing what she did, she makes her way to the rocket launcher.
Yeah.
Loads the hex tech into it, which is what it needed.
It needed that
to work.
Yes.
Well, it's interesting to me because in the game, it's just a big missile. Like, it doesn't clarify that there's a hex tech core or anything in it, or maybe it does, but it's not in the sense of like a little ball. But at first I was like, is she just gonna shoot? Is it gonna shoot a laser beam out, or like what's going on? But then it's clear that it's a rocket.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she shoots that from all the way across the city.
Yep. Right at the council chamber.
Right at the council chamber. While they are voting on to give Zahn, it's like a big ironic, like, such, I don't know if ironic's the right word, but the coincidence of, like, Jinx, who really isn't, she probably doesn't care about the Undercity versus Piltover at all. Like, I don't think that would really be part of her motivation. She seems much more driven by the people in her life. Whereas Silco, a big part of him was what he was doing with the Undercity. Anyway, it all culminates in Jinx, in a fit of whatever because she just killed Silco, decides to shoot the missile at the Piltover Council.
Yeah.
While they were going to enact what Silco's kind of dream was to fight for.
Yeah.
And the season ends.
Yep.
That's where it ends. That's the missile's an inch from hitting.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it kind of parallels the fact that she, originally in episode 3, when she, destroys her whole family, it's like she's destroying something else that was, important to her family again.
They are relentlessly sticking to the Jinx thing. They don't let up. There's not, it's, a moment of happiness in this poor girl's, existence.
Yeah.
She's always messing it up,
Yeah.
in the bigger picture of things, oh man, yeah. So
yeah, so I guess it kind of ends with her sitting down in the Jinx chair, deciding that she's going to be Jinx and not Powder.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that I guess she's gonna be the big villain now. I guess I don't know.
Yeah. Which is how again, from the game, she was introduced as a villain in the game.
Yeah.
Now, it was implied that she had, a troubled history with her sister, Vi, that she's kind of has some, it was almost more of that, though, quirky, crazy, I'm just a psychotic killer. But then the show, really, I thought, fleshed that out really well.
Yeah.
And they stuck to it, and we're like, yep.
Yeah.
There's not really...
That seemed to be, this, almost pretty much the center, I guess, of the Jinx's, journey to become Jinx.
I would agree. Yeah, it was definitely about Jinx.
And Vi.
Yeah.
It was about kind of both of them. But Vi didn't really have much development, I guess, as much, not as much as Jinx. She's just, kind and caring, and ends kind and caring.
Yeah, she's also, though, she didn't her one thing that was solid all the way through is she fixes all her problems by punching them. She was more and that's core to her character in the game too. Not that that's important, but she's just about punching her way in and out of things. She was the one who was we just need to go kill Silco and all the Shimmer stuff. I mean, she sticks with that, but the big rift between Jinx and Vi comes because in that split second where Vi had a weak moment after Vander died, she wasn't able to go back to Jinx even though she looked, you know what I mean? And it kind of snowballed from there.
Yeah.
Tragic.
Yeah. I mean, if she hadn't acted, sort of in that moment and,
it wouldn't have
said whatever, so.
But yeah, it's she, all we really see then is she goes to jail. She's kind of now the hardened kind of criminal type, I guess. Although she's clearly
she doesn't seem that much more hardened, honestly.
She has tattoos on her waist.
Oh.
A hoodlum.
Just got a cooler haircut.
But she's still, kind and is wants, good things, I guess. But
you would have thought she would be a little bit more hardened and cold, I think, because they do talk about how they constantly torture everybody in the prison.
Yeah.
So she's been beat up and tortured many times.
I think the reason we maybe don't see it as much is because you kind of see it towards Caitlyn a little, her distrust because she's an enforcer, but a lot of the other characters she interacts with are Jinx, Echo, people she knows in the under, she kind of has a connection with those other people. But yeah, I mean, compared to obviously Jinx is the most dramatic representation of character change, I think.
Yeah.
Not in a good way, in the most tragic ways possible. But
yeah.
I don't know. I thought for a show like this, it did a lot of character arcs, and not even arcs. The characters didn't even have to change that much, but each character's personal story I thought was done pretty well across the board. Obviously, some better than others. Jace was whatever, but even Silco, and then obviously the main characters, which is I just think impressive because although Jinx is the focus over the course of 9 episodes, I don't know, they really fleshed out a lot of characters.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, it caught me off guard, like how good it actually ended up being compared to like my expectations, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't really know what to expect going in. I've heard everybody say that it's like really good. But I didn't know. So I was like, I'll go into it. I assume it'll probably be pretty good, I guess. And it was really good. I don't know. Is it better than I expected? If I expected it to be really good?
That's the other thing is if you had it overhyped or like everyone was telling you it was good and it ends up good, then yeah, it's probably. But like
Yeah,
for me,
I don't even.
I think it was because I had history with League of Legends and I had seen people say it was good, but I was like, okay, but as a League fan, is it good?
Oh no, bloopers.
What's Siri's doing? But so I think that was why I kind of went into it a little unassuming. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I probably personally, I think I told you it was good like 50 times, so that probably sets you up a little differently. But
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think it was overhyped, honestly. It is really good. It just is, like, really, really well done and really good for, like, being based off a video game that already has all of this pre-established stuff that it has to work into the plot. Like, it does a really good job, like, wiring all of these characters together and their motivations and what they're doing.
yeah, I mean, like, and beyond the story, the style like of the show, it's just really appealing. Like I thought between I mean, because you can tell that for the characters, I think there's some motion capture
Maybe
mixed with animation. Like some of the facial
It could
stuff,
be.
I feel like I don't know.
I'd say for Jinx, yeah, I could see that because like some of the way her like eyes move and like a lot of that stuff, the way
Yeah.
she moves is very
Yeah,
interesting.
I was wondering because I was talking to our friend Jason about it, who's seen it as well, and I was, we were unsure. Like, did they use motion capture? Because that's kind of interesting
Maybe.
to blend it because it's also a very stylized show anyway.
Yeah.
So even if they did use motion capture, it's like everything else is filled in with multiple different kind of design directions. Like,
Yeah.
you have your general look, and then like even characters like Jinx have their own distinct stuff that shows up, like her drawings or her
Yeah.
hallucinations.
Yeah.
It's its own style. Then like the scene with Echo,
Yeah.
the animation completely changes.
Yeah.
I don't know, just a lot of cool design decisions from that. For
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, I also noticed they used a lot of music in this, like a lot of like I don't know if any of them I don't know if all of the songs were like made for this, but there's some like hip hop rap songs and obviously some like kind of rock songs. Like they do actually use the title theme like in the actual show at one point.
Mm-hmm.
The Imagine Dragons song. There's the cool scene where she fights the arm lady in the bar.
Oh yeah.
And he like the dude starts playing the thing on
the
the
jukebox.
Yeah, that was really cool how they did that, and the minute it starts like getting really cool is when they start fighting.
Yeah.
I liked the use of music in this. I thought was really good.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I don't know specifically for this, but I can speak to Riot has been very active over the years of doing collaborations with artists of like to make League themed music. I know they created a virtual K-pop band. Like,
oh gosh, okay.
it's kind of like, you know how the Gorillas have the characters.
Yeah.
They did that and made their own music through that. They've released
That's epic.
like they've done that. They've actually done that multiple times. Like there's a band made up of champions from the game that do metal. Like it's literally just like hardcore metal. So they're very like involved with music making and stuff too. So I would imagine they developed it, but
Yeah.
obviously their friends Imagine Dragons had to come in. And,
Yeah, I totally forgot. There's one scene where they like have actual characters that are, I guess, playing the Imagine Dragons people because they're like playing instruments and like singing the song on the stage.
They're stylized after.
I
I'm assuming.
forgot
I don't know
about
who they look like.
Oh,
I mean,
they
I don't
kinda
know
look like
what the
that.
band looks like, but I would assume that they're like stylized versions of the band members, but I don't know.
Yeah, they're really big in Piltover, very popular band. I didn't. Do you recognize any of the voice actors from this?
No, I meant to look that up. I was curious if they used any of the voice actors for the champions, because like one of the ways lore gets figured out in League of Legends is all the voice lines from the game for the champions.
Yeah.
Do you?
I mean, do they sound? I can look it up.
It's been a long time since I played League, but they sound like how I remember.
Yeah, they have very
especially
distinct.
like, I mean, obviously Caitlyn's just like, all I remember is her having the posh accent, so it could have just be anybody, but
anybody could do a posh.
well, I guess I again, I don't remember clearly enough, but I was just curious if they did, because a lot of the there's a lot of famous voice actors that have voiced champions in League of Legends, so I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they, but obviously voicing, voice lines in a video game is much different than doing a full-on, 9-episode series with a lot, probably varied tones and things than just the voice lines in a game. So
yeah. The one I did recognize from the credits was Haley Steinfeld, does the voice of Vi.
She's a big name actress.
Yeah, she's actually in Hawkeye. She plays Kate Bishop in Hawkeye. So she's I was like, huh, wow, she's really
she's been in
making a name for herself.
Pretty big hits, yeah.
Yeah, that's the only one I recognize. I'm looking it up right now.
I doubt she voiced Vi in the game, because she's like a full-on famous actress as far as I know.
Yeah.
But
let's look up IMDb. She was in True Grit.
Ooh.
The remake of True Grit.
Oh, I thought the original.
She's in the original.
With John Wayne.
Yeah. Oh, she also did Gwen Stacy in the Spider-Verse movie. She'll probably be in the next.
Right.
They just announced that one, sequel to that. I don't think it's the same actors, but that's the only one I recognize. Maybe I should. Can I read these names to you, and maybe you know them?
Well, I wouldn't know like who did Jason the game, like.
Right, but like maybe you recognize the actors.
Oh, possibly. If they're famous actors, then maybe.
Voice of Jinx, Ella Purnell.
Ooh, I don't know.
No. She's in nothing. JB Blanc did the voice of Vander. Okay.
I don't know. I think one of
Silco, Jason Spisk.
I don't know that. I think one of either Clagger or Milo. I can't remember. I think it was Clagger. I think I recognized his voice.
Clang, what?
Clagger.
Oh, Clagger. I don't remember that character's name. No way.
I think he is the guy in Breaking Bad named Badger, and he also voices characters in Final Fantasy VII Remake, I think.
Roger Craig Smith. He was in Psychonauts 2.
That's it?
He's in Bugsnax.
That's way
He's
off.
in Yakuza, Like a Dragon, new Yakuza.
Maybe I did play
He's
that.
in a lot. Hold on. Let me just sift through this. There's a lot here.
I don't know. That's the only voice I thought I recognized, but it clearly I was wrong.
Well, let me just scroll through because there's a lot here. Trying to find. Oh, he's Mirage in Apex Legends. He voices Sonic the Hedgehog in Smash Ultimate. That's pretty cool.
Wow.
And in Wreck-It Ralph. Wow.
I thought all the voice actors. I mean, like coming from
good.
someone who played the game, like they very well could have been the people who did the voices for the game. I didn't notice. I mean, Vi, I would say I did think. I don't really remember how Vi talked, but I feel like I was like, I don't remember her exactly being like this. But like Caitlyn, Jace, basically all the other ones sounded similar. Even Heimerdinger, he has a very distinct voice.
Yeah, what's up with that guy? What's his issue?
He's a Yordle.
What's his deal?
Did they use the term Yordle at all? maybe once.
I think they did. I
Yeah.
think I remember that. being
Yordles
thing.
are a species, but like they can vary
I figured.
very different. Like they don't all look like Heimerdinger at all. In fact, he's the only one I know that looks like that. But yeah, they're just like little fairy creatures that live a long time.
He's like the only one we see of his.
Apparently, when I looked up like what champions are in this, because I wanted to make sure I caught them all in case there was like someone before some transition happened. It said Teemo is in it, which you can look up what Teemo looks like and see if you caught it. But he's a Yordle. But I think it was just a cameo, but I did not notice him. But maybe that was purposely done because one of his abilities is like in the game is if he stands still without moving, he turns invisible after like 5 seconds. So maybe he was really well hidden. I don't know, but apparently he shows up somewhere. I didn't see him. But to be fair, like a lot of those scenes are very, very dense. Like there are a lot of people in backgrounds and just things going on. So
Yeah.
he very well could be there. He must be there somewhere. But
Maybe.
yeah, those are Yordles,
Ah.
little creatures.
So are they like from somewhere else?
Yeah, I think there's a Yordle village. I mean, there's a
Why is he there? What's his backstory? Wasn't set up.
He's an engineer. I don't know. He said when he came to the city. I thought. I don't know.
Wow.
I'm sure we'll figure out more.
We'll find out more in
Season 2.
Season 2 coming this fall.
It's already been confirmed. No, unfortunately, they said expect it won't be till 2023. So we will have forgotten everything that we just talked about by the time it comes out.
Oh no! I'll just rewatch this. Actually, it'll probably be better than.
It's good enough that I would probably rewatch it before season 2, just because it'd be enjoyable, and maybe I'd be able to pick out other little things. But
yeah. So.
Anything else?
Anything else?
Closing comments.
You should watch it. I mean, we've spoiled everything.
Yeah, if you made it this far, I don't know why, and you haven't watched it. You should just watch it, but now you know everything. But
Yeah, it's
good.
It's really good.
Yeah, that's all I have to say.
Arcane League of Legends.
Arcane. Yeah, it's good.
All right, well, I guess we'll end it then.
Yeah, thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.
Go watch Silent Hill. Down for it.
Yeah, actually, go watch those. There'll be a new episode. I don't know when this will come out, but like there'll be a new episode too.
There you go.
Actually, maybe I'll put this out too.
Just actually, if you just hit subscribe and click the bell,
Yeah,
you'll know when all of these
know.
videos come out.
you watch all my Mountain Dew reviews.
Yes.
Very cool. All right, bye.
Bye.